and welcome back, Pedal Comma Podcast family. We are doing something a little different. We are trying to attempt a reading vlog. We'll see how that goes.
No, we're attempting. We're gonna figure it out, y'all.
You know, and so we are just gonna let you know our thoughts as we read this book that is titled Phantasma. I'm sure you've heard of it. It has been everywhere. And boom, Liz has it. It is also available on Kindle Unlimited.
It's pretty.
It is really pretty.
Is it our normal type of read? No.
Yeah. So, not our normal type of read. It is a paranormal dark romance?
Yeah, it says. Yeah. I don't remember. It was like a dark fantasy romance.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. And so we are going to read it, tell you our thoughts as we go. So we've already read the first 5 chapters. The story is about Genevieve. I believe that's how you say it. That's how I say it.
I say it, Genevieve.
I'm just
whatever. You guys know what we're saying now. When she says it that way, when I say it that way, it's just a character in the book, okay?
I'm just extra. But yeah, Genevieve and Ophelia.
Love that name.
Ophelia?
Ophelia. In Spanish, it sounds prettier.
Ophelia
sounds like a disease.
So she says Ophelia, and I say Genevieve.
Yeah, see, that sounds fancier than Genevieve. No, Ophelia sounds than Ophelia. So we got y'all. Either way, we got all bases covered with the name. Right. Go ahead.
So, what is this book about? We don't know. We're going in blind. We've just been reading it everywhere.
You want me to read I haven't read it yet.
You can read the synopsis. Let everyone know.
Okay. Phantasma. I'm gonna read this. No. Neither one of us knew that this was like some type of like Hunger Game. I don't even know if it's Hunger Games or anything. Neither one of us knew that. But if we would have read what the book was about, we would have known it. This just goes to show you that we just buy books because of how they look. Mm-hmm. Well, one of the reasons. We read some of them to see what they're about. Anyway, Phantasma only has 2 rules. Stay alive and don't fall in love. When Ophelia discovers her mother's brutally murdered, there is no time to grieve. We're not there yet, guys, just so you know. We don't know that she's brutally murdered. We don't know that she's brutally...
Spoiler!
This is why I don't read what the book's about. Okay. When Ophelia discovers her mother's brutally murdered, there is no time to grieve. She has inherited the family's fearsome magic and enormous debt. Circumstances go from dire to deadly, however, when Ophelia's sister decides to pay off the loan by entering Phantasma.
That's Genevieve.
Genevieve. Sounds like you watch Emily in Paris.
I mean, I was captain of the French club. I better know something.
Get it, Colette? I did not know that. Aww, look at my little rock star. She's so smart, y'all. Anyways, a competition where contestants rarely escape alive and the victor is granted a single wish. The only way for Ophelia to save her sister is to win. But Phantasma is a cursed manor full of twisting quarters, lavish ballrooms, staffed by enticing demons, and fatal temptations. And Ophelia must conquer all 9 floors to succeed, if her fears don't overtake her first. When a charming, arrogant stranger claims he can help, Ophelia knows better than to trust him. But with her sister's life on the line, Ophelia can't afford to turn him away. She'll just need to ignore the overwhelming, dark attraction drawing them closer and closer together. Because in Phantasma, the only thing deadlier than losing the game is losing your heart. Okay, guys, we didn't know all of that. Let's just talk about 1 through 5, because none of that happens in 1 through 5.
Right. So the very opening scene is the mama dead.
Heart attack.
That's what we thought.
She is young. She is young, but nobody has any suspicions yet.
Right.
That she was murdered. I mean, I did. But
You
I'm
did.
just
I
naturally
didn't. I just
suspicious.
thought,
I did when she said, the coroner was like, "Oh, but you sure you don't want the autopsy?" She was so young,
yeah,
and I was like, But I get why they didn't want the autopsy
yeah,
because it messes the body up, and then in the afterlife. So, anyways, let's go in order. So, go ahead. So they find her body.
yes. They found the mom's body. Ophelia performs a
Ritual.
thank you. Essentially taking over her mother's.
Sucks up all her magic.
Is that what it is? She sucks up the
The
magic.
magic she envelops the magic of
Yeah,
her mother's, the generational magic, because that's what they do every time. They did it when her grandmother died,
yeah.
the mother died.
And her mother is a necromancer, so Ophelia is as well. She sees Duppy all the time. Duppy just a walk boat.
And she didn't see them until she absorbed her mom's magic.
Correct, correct. And I have that highlighted, by the way. As soon as she finishes it, it says, it being the ritual, it says, a flickering reflection in the glass caught her eye. A curious apparition with a wispy smile gazed back at her knowingly before blinking out of sight. So
That
they
was her
watch her.
mom,
Is that what it was?
I think, or her grandmother.
Only because she didn't know who it was. I don't think so.
True. Maybe a great grandmother. I don't know.
I think she has a voice like Nightmare in One Dark Window,
But
even though I'm not.
he's evil.
So if you read the book, I don't know if you know anyone that has OCD, like true OCD. I know we
Monk.
use it loosely, but that voice in her head makes her OCD.
She
Like
has
he's
to
like,
tap
not
on
two
things
times or you're
3
gonna die.
times.
Tap your hand twice or you're gonna die. Like, and so she does it because she's scared. And her mom has even informed her. She was like, "You don't worry about it. It's the voice in your head. You just have to be used to it. It happens." No, I don't want it. Go ahead, take this voice out my head. I don't need that.
Yeah, especially the way he the voice tells her to do things and mischievous things, bad things,
Yeah,
but
and I
she
think the
doesn't do
mother
those
knew
things.
more and didn't explain it because Ophelia states, there's a lot more things that she wasn't trained on, and her mom is already passed. So it's like
Yeah.
you're pretty much going in blind at this point. Also, I do want to state, when you were reading the synopsis just then, it said that she has to get through the 9 floors. You remember in the book it says that the 9 circles of hell.
Yeah, she was. So she liked studying that part of what her mom was teaching her, which was the nine gates of hell. So in this book, from what we've read so far, there's necromancers, demons, vampires, and werewolves. Those are the only 4 beings that we've heard about so far.
And
They
devils.
put a lot of emphasis on the demons. I only
Devils.
remember, huh?
Devils.
Devils.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, devils. They don't really say anything else about vampires and werewolves,
Yeah.
but devils is like their thing that they're like, oh, the devil's Genevieve, or go ahead, say it.
Genevieve.
Yeah, she doesn't like any of this spiritual stuff. She doesn't like any of it. She basically got to be the sister that got to live a normal life, have friends, go to
The
school, be
spare.
outside.
The spare in the air. So she's the spare.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she does not like the spiritual stuff. And one of the issues that they have in these at the end of the 5 chapters is that when they were little, they always said that they were just going to go away and travel.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's not where Ophelia's mind is right now.
Right.
So after the mom passes away, they have to, and she does the ritual. Ophelia sews her mom's eyes shut with blessed, I guess, or sacramental thread to keep her
Mm-hmm.
eyes closed, which this is a ritual that they do um, so that nobody can control her mom's body. They don't want people knowing this is a secret of the family, because if people find out about that, they'll start doing it to their family members, so they cannot be brought back for necromancy.
Yep. And then another thing I wanted to highlight about the devils that caught my attention, it says, unless you actually stumbled upon a devil or they stumbled upon you, individual devils could only be summoned if you invoke the right words or names, as was the case for many paranormal beings. So
I mean, that goes with. I mean, I don't know if anybody's watched Constantine, but in order to expel a demon back to hell, you have to know their true name.
I mean, but that's biblical too.
So I don't know if that's some. Well, yeah, Constantine. Just joking, guys. No, it's not. It is one of my favorite movies, though.
Yeah. So she sews her mother's eyes. They take her to or they call the coroner. They go visit the body at the morgue. They are in New Orleans, by the way. This is based in New Orleans. I don't know when this time is set because they say some things that it's just like, where are you?
Yeah,
And they wear like long skirts, like the 1900s, early
and they
1900s.
have a carriage, but
Yeah.
so I don't
Then
know
they
either.
said the new motor car is the latest model. And I'm like, it ain't a Range Rover, so clearly this is like way back. But then, like, the sister was talking to her. She was like, "Oh, you don't have to worry about him. I had sex with him." And I was just like,
Yeah, very loosey goosey for that time. So I was confused.
"Yeah." But she said it a little bit more crass than that. So it was just the language that caught me off guard. So that's that's what's throwing me. I don't know if she's trying to write in that time frame and just disregard the language, not the language, but how they spoke.
Yeah.
That's what's throwing me. Um, they're walking back from the coroner, the morgue. I'm sorry. After they view the mother's body, and Ophelia, did I say that right?
Good. Huh?
Ophelia sees some friends and they're like, "Hey, girl, hey, come hang out." And she was like, "Oh, wait a minute, Genevieve, I need to go say hi to my friends."
No, it's the other way around.
Oh,
Genevieve.
sorry,
Yeah.
Genevieve sees her friends. I apologize.
Genevieve. Right?
Sees her friends, and then she was like, "Hold on, Ophelia, I need to go be popular. Wait right here, bye." And she goes inside this like little cafe, and when she's there, her little demon friend that's talking to her mind. Does he have a name?
Not as of now. I don't
Okay.
think so. I didn't notice a name yet.
Her little demon friend is like, "It's getting dark. If you don't get home, you about to die."
Yep. And just so you know, when they're walking, people are looking at Ophelia differently now because once she did that ritual, her eye color changed.
Yeah.
So she's like, I don't know if they're just being like that because people start looking and whispering and all that. She's always had a bit of a complex because she's not the one that went out and made friends and all of that.
Yeah.
Genevieve was.
I actually
So,
highlighted that in the book. I said it was not shocking that Genevieve found the new color of Ophelia's eyes disturbing. Her younger sister had always had an issue making direct eye contact with their mother and had made it abundantly clear all their lives that should Ophelia tragically pass on without any heirs of her own, Genevieve would not be carrying on the family legacy. The way people were easily vexed by their strange little family had always rubbed Genevieve the wrong way. And when Genevieve had reached a certain age, she even began to refuse to accompany their mother anywhere in town lest they run into any of her socialite friends. None of that had ever bothered Ophelia.
mm-mm-mm.
She does.
Mm.
Flight.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
my friend would say. Flighty.
Yeah. So after she hears this voice from this shadow person in her head, um, she gets her sister and then they go home, they go to sleep, and they get woken up early in the morning by somebody banging really hard on the door, and it's the bank. Like, hey, we heard that your mom passed away. We have to settle some things. Your mom took out a loan, and we're about to foreclose on your house. She's like, wait, what? This house was paid off. It's a manor.
Yeah.
The Grim Manor is what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
The manor's paid off. Da 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 da. They're like, well, come to the bank with us. One of them's a little scaredy cat, and he's like, "Oh my god, is this really haunted? Oh."
Yeah.
Whatever, baby. And so they go to the bank. The sister's already acting a little weird.
Mm-hmm. Because she tried to get her to go back. She's like, "Go to sleep. I'll take care of it. Don't even worry about it." So she's trying to shove her out the way.
I think she took the loan out.
That's what I think too.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and the mom found out and then tried to help her cover it because, again, like you said, she's flighty, so she's gonna want to have all the nice stuff. And her family, not that they're poor, because they're not. Because even she mentions it in one of the chapters that there should have been enough for them to just live their life.
Right.
with the inheritance because the manor was paid off and they had money and all of this stuff.
Yep.
So while they're at the bank, the banker's like, listen, you could just cut a deal with us. We're going to tear it down anyway. Give us the manor, blah, blah, blah. And Ophelia's like, no, no, no. I'm going to figure this out. And while they're showing her the documents, she realizes that the mother's signature was forged. But the first two checks, I believe it was, were her mother's signature.
Correct.
But the rest of them were forged. And then that's when she puts two and two together that Genevieve was the one that was forging the checks because she knows her mother's handwriting. She studied her mother's handwriting,
Right.
doing all the studies for the magic that she was going to absorb.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she's already, the bankers try to get her. She's like, we're not doing this. I'm going to figure out a way. They're like, oh, well, this is the
30
final
days.
30 days. You know, you're not going to get it. We're just going to tear it down. It would make it a lot easier if you just sign it over to us now. She's like, no, bitch. No.
And I don't think the mother tried to cover for her. I think the mother took out a loan initially and paid it back. And I think because they said that she paid $5,000 and stopped. I think she thought that was the $5,000 she took and stopped paying. But the sister went and took out more money and wasn't paying.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't think about that. That's a good one. That's a good one.
That's my little inner Liz. But continue.
Yes, I love it. So if we backtrack a little bit, when Genevieve was inside of the place with her little friends, Ophelia heard people over talking about a gentleman, the eligible bachelor of this area was in town. And his name is Faro Henry. I highlighted it. I said main male character, maybe like the guy who says, "Oh, I can help you." He's mysterious. People don't really know. Actually, he asked Genevieve out and stood her up.
Yep.
And that's where we hear she's a loosey-goosey because she's like, it's okay. I still showed up. And I ended up hunching with one of the guys on one of the floats. But she didn't say that word. She didn't use Colette's word. She used the vulgar F-U-C-K word. But anyway, so everybody's buzzing about this guy. I just wanted to touch base on that just in case, whatever. So where were we? So they're back. They leave. And then this is where they have the conversation. Genevieve is like, this is our chance. This is our chance to escape. We don't have to deal with any of this. We could just go travel. Let's sell them the land.
With no money.
Yeah. She's young.
You can't be that dumb.
She's young.
But yeah, so, and then she was like, look, I know the signatures were forged. I know it was you that went and took the money. And she was like, oh my God, why are you attacking me? And then she runs off like a little punk. And that's the end of chapter 5.
And that's it, y'all, for our first 5 chapters.
Okay, so we are just picking up from where we left off, obviously. We read the next we read the next 5 chapters and
wanted to read 10.
Yeah, and what happened, Elizabeth? Nothing.
But a lot, but nothing.
So Genevieve is just a victim. And her little dumbass went into Phantasma, which is the little circus, whatever you want to call it.
Just left her sister a note. Left her like, hey,
I'm going to take care of it because I'm the youngest and I'm a crybaby. Somebody should have tripped on the way there, a little punk.
Anyway. Ophelia and Genevieve. Say it again. Genevieve. I did say it right. Okay. They had a little disagreement after they left the little thing, and we covered that. The sister storms off. Well, the next day the sister, wakes up and she's like, "Where's my sister? Where's my sister?" She goes to her room, sees that she left, and left her a note.
Wait, we went too far.
No, did we?
Yeah, remember she's
home. Yeah. Rewind. So on her way home, Ophelia, after her little disagreement with her sister and her little sister ran off, she runs into some spirit. But there's more than one.
Because the first one was like a little girl, right?
Yeah, and then once the deep voice.
When a deep voice comes in, that's clearly the love interest.
Yeah, I know. I was like, okay, I put a no. Okay, maybe not.
Yeah.
not Haro. But I do think they mentioned that guy's name for a reason, so maybe he plays a
Yeah.
part in this. Hopefully, I didn't just highlight that for no reason, but whatever. Um, the deep voice just slithered all over her body, and she couldn't not walk away from it. Like she had to
Mm-hmm.
stay there. And he's just like, "What are you doing over here? You shouldn't be here, Angel."
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, let me see if I can do a deep voice. You shouldn't be here, Angel. How did I do, Colette?
It was fantastic. I loved it.
Okay. And so they just have some dialogue. She accidentally wandered onto the manor, Hell's Manor. Um, the grounds, not the manor, just the manor grounds.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "You don't belong here, blah, blah, you should leave." Eventually, her senses kick in. And she's like, "Okay, maybe you're right. I should leave." That's when she goes home.
Right.
And
And
yeah.
then Genevieve left her a note to go to Phantasma because, Genevieve, she went digging around her room and found all this money that Genevieve had hidden underneath like a floorboard, you little thief.
And with her journal. Little thief. What if okay. Because in the first 5 chapters, she's like, "Where did you get the money to pay?" Because Genevieve did do 2 payments of $1,000. And she's like, "Where'd you get that money?" She's like, "Don't worry about it." You think
Stole
she's
it.
a hussy?
She out here hunching.
That's what I'm saying. On the back of a float.
Right.
I don't even know. But and then when she's going through her journal, she finds out that Genevieve has actually been doing research on Phantasma
Mm-hmm.
for a long time. So this isn't something that just popped in her head. This is
Right.
something that Genevieve really thought out
Yeah.
and was already planning on doing. And she's like, "Oh my God, no, my
She's
baby's
been searching for someone named Gabriel.
Gabriel."
You don't know who Gabriel is, though. I think
An
it's the
angel.
pappy.
Huh?
I think it's the pappy.
Ooh.
I think the pappy went there, and that's why the pappy disappeared. You know, he probably
I
got.
didn't even think about that. Look at you, little genius.
Yeah, you know, pappy.
Love it. If you
But
don't
yeah.
get it, I get it. If I don't get it, you get it. Love it.
But I also wanted to touch on a part where before she had left, because he was like, "I don't think this is a safe place for you," and she was like, "Yeah, Daddy." You know, she has. She had asked.
That's what you thought?
That's how I heard it in my head. She had asked him. She was like, "Oh, do you need help leaving here? I kind of help apparitions, disappear. What do you need to get up out of here?" And he said, "I need a heart and a key that will set me free."
It's right here on her neck.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So she wears this necklace. I don't know if we covered it in the last video, but she has this necklace with this. It's a heart, right?
A heart locket.
Sorry, when I get put on the spot, I forget shit, y'all. So it's a heart that, yes, we did cover it. Okay.
Yeah. And it throbs when it was in his presence. I said they should be throbbing. Oh, and they made sure to tell you. They made sure to tell you in the book. Not only was her heart locket throbbing, but other body parts. If you get where I'm going. I was like, "Look at you, you little Not you over here lusting after a ghost."
No, and she felt him. She felt him, could not see him, but felt his presence against her body,
Yes.
running up her, what was it, her spine or her arm, whatever, running up some body part. So she was already feeling some type of attraction.
Yeah.
The guy's like.
She finds that, she packs her bags, goes to Phantasma, and then I guess, gatekeeper, the person in front of the gate, she's like, "Hey, did you see a little girl come down here? She looked like me. She's like 3 years younger." He was like, "I cannot tell you the names." And in my mind, I'm thinking she didn't ask for no name. She asking you a description.
Yeah.
But I digress. What do I know? Maybe I don't understand.
In order for her to get into Phantasma, she has to let that guy go through her mind to look for her biggest fear. But
Right.
what he found was not just one fear, a plethora of fears. So he's like,
I
oh.
think that voice in her head is fear.
Ooh, Colette! You are so genius. You're on it today. I love this side of you.
You know, you know.
You sure you don't want to read some mystery thrillers with me?
Oh.
um, that is wow. You just knocked me off kilter. Like now I can't. You're a genius. So yeah. So he's like, "Oh, we're gonna have fun with you," and he lets her in.
And then they go in. She gets her room. There are 9 different groups.
9 different.
And they all have different amounts of people. So some
You think
groups have
that's
like
per
20.
floor?
Yeah, I think so. And they have different amounts. So like one group could have 20, one group can have 17. Like there's no average number. She goes and then she goes into her room and she's looking around and then she pulls a book and it's a secret passageway. And what does she do? She goes into the secret passageway because
Wait. There's an important part you're missing.
What part?
Poe.
Oh, Poe jumps on the bed when she went in the room.
What is Poe, Colette? What is Poe?
The cat.
It's an apparition. It's a ghost cat. It's a ghost cat. Now, just in case it does mean something, because she's on the 4th floor, room 426.
Yep.
And while they're leading her to her room, she's with her group, but she's at the back of the group, and then this guy, Cade, falls back, and he kind of taunts her. And then this little girl comes, and she's like, leave her alone, Cade. And he's like, roo, 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 and walks forward. And then Ophelia's like, okay, yeah, thanks for that, but deuces, I'm out. And then she finds a cat, a ghost cat in her room. Go ahead, Colette. You want to leave out Poe.
And the book opens up this secret passageway, and she goes into the secret passageway because that's what people do.
The necklace starts going off too.
The necklace clearly doesn't like you because I wouldn't know what nowhere. But what do I know?
Neither does that cat.
So she goes into it, and then the fear in her head, I'm calling him fear now. Yep. Fear in her head is like, you better run. And she's like, you don't know nothing. All of a sudden, somebody come out of here like a bat out of hell. Come on here, bitch. Well, it didn't say that.
Cat disappeared.
Like, yeah, but that's what it felt like. And it's some type of demon-like thing with like long fingernails and
gray hands.
Yeah, it scratches her because she's bleeding. So she took off running. Finally, you shouldn't have went in there in the first place, but I digress. She runs. She gets to the door. She opens the door. The little thing, whatever it is, takes her, grabs her. And then she uses magic and blasts him away. I didn't even know she had that type of power.
Yes, it happened when she fell. But she does. I don't think she's learned how to use it.
Yes,
because it's pent up. Well, she just got it from her mom.
Yes, but keep in mind, like we said before, her mother died before she can learn everything. So I think there's a lot of things she doesn't know yet. So it blasts the little demon thing, whatever it was, away. She comes out into this hallway and looks at the cat, and she was like, "You little traitor!" And the cat looking at her like, "Who told you to follow me? I'm a ghost." That's how I read it.
That is not what the cat said, y'all.
That's how it came in my head. That's what happened.
Because that's what you would hope the cat would say.
So she goes, and then she's walking down the hallway, and then all of a sudden the arch doorway appears out of nowhere.
She didn't learn her lesson.
And then she says, "Oh, look, another doorway. Let me go through that." So she goes.
The heart does thump throughout the whole time for this door. Whereas the other one, as soon as she went in, the door was like, the heart was like, wrong turn.
It stopped.
You made a left turn at Albuquerque.
I don't think she's picking up the right palpitations. If it's beating too fast, don't go in there. If it's beating slow, probably it's your boo. I don't know, but I feel like you're not
Morse code.
Right. Like, don't go. She went anyway. You know. So then she goes into the little archway, and who appears?
Well, first of all, The cat is still there.
Yeah.
Colette does not like this cat.
Yeah, because you try to set me up for failure. I almost died because of you.
So the cat also leads her to this other door. And when it gets there and she goes through it or whatever, the cat goes and jumps into the arms of who?
I don't know that boy name.
Me neither yet, but it's the same guy she puts
The
together, that
voice.
it's the same person, because she also mentions that she could feel the difference in the ghost energies that they're
Yeah.
all different, like a fingerprint, she says. So she's
Mm-hmm.
like, I know this is the same guy,
Yeah.
but for some reason he does not remember their encounter. He says that his memory is a bit complicated.
Yep. Yep. Because
And he
he was
doesn't give her
asking, he
any
was like, it's
answers.
you. And he's looking at her like, it's me. What? What are you talking about?
And be careful with what you say to me, because the
Yeah.
walls
The
listen.
walls have ears.
Angel. And he still calls her an angel. And then she describes him as like he's more am I saying it right? Corporal
Corporeal.
than a ghost. So you can see him more, he's more defined. He has white
Correct. He
hair.
doesn't have that blue halo light like the other apparitions have.
It's white.
Yeah.
Just like the cat. And another thing that, because we have established that Colette is anti-Poe. When she first saw the cat who's named Poe,
Like Edgar Allan Poe?
yes.
I just put it together. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
She says that when she first saw the cat, she looks at it and she's like, there's something familiar about this cat, even
Gabriel.
human-like. And I'm like, what if that's her mom? No? Okay. She said there's something human-like.
That thought did cross my head and then my mind, and I was like, no, that can't be real. But what
Because you don't
if,
like the cat. It's okay. But Poe is a male name, so maybe it's her dad.
yeah, I thought it was something else though. I thought it was the mom at first, but then I was like, I feel like it's someone else she knows that she probably doesn't remember. I think she also has memories taken.
Yeah. Who knows what her mom did in the training and all of that
Yeah.
stuff for her protection. I'm not saying that her mom was
Yeah.
malicious at all. Um,
So she goes, and he is a flirt.
Fine. He's fine.
He is a flirt,
I thought
even when he's
Rowan.
not even trying to be. He is a flirt. He's a phantom, by the way. I don't think we explained that.
Yeah.
Phantom is the most corporeal of them
Yep.
all. Yeah, they're also one of the stronger of the ghosts.
Yeah, it's the Phantoms and come on, Liz. What is it from Poltergeist? Phantom and Poltergeist. Those are the two. No? Did I get it wrong?
I'm looking right now. No, phantoms are the top of the top, and then the poltergeists are beneath them.
And then there's ghouls that are the worst of them, which is just a
they're kind of like
spirit.
zombies.
Yeah, they stayed in our realm too long, and they kind of lose themselves, and they become very malicious.
Yeah, and so she's talking to him or whatever, and then she was like, have you seen a girl that looks like me? Because she's trying to find Genevieve. She might be 3 years younger. Hit him with the same line. He was like, I can't tell you any names. And I'd be like, girl, they keep telling you they can't tell you names, and you don't say, I'm not asking for a name.
But what he does want to know is how she was able to conjure that door. And we know nothing.
Like, I don't know. It just appeared.
Okay, so we're at chapter 11. She just heard her sister Genevieve screaming. That's how I say it. I'm telling you every time. Anyway, she heard her scream. He's like, come on, let's go. Which they explained to her, you're only on your level. You're level 4 with only the people that you're sleeping with. Nobody can roam the grounds. Nobody could go anywhere. You're only allowed to stay on that floor.
Use your noggin.
Yes. Yeah, she has some moments that I'm like, really? But she has a lot of moments that I'm like, you get it, girl. She is intelligent. She is very intelligent. And, okay. So they get back to the room. She's scared to go in. Blackwell's like, don't worry about it. I got you. Mm-hmm. You're okay. Nothing's going to happen. Come in. So she takes a step and she still sees all the blood. She sees everything tore up from the ghoul that she found in the bathroom. And she also sees the ghoul making its way back to the bathroom. Blackwell's
Yeah.
like, she's like, oh my God. And he's like, no, girl, I told you. Don't worry about it. And everything's gone.
Yeah.
Everything's clean. Everything's gone. They flirt a lot.
Wait, no.
Wait, what did I miss?
That happens after. We didn't tell them that she woke up to the ghouls. Remember, she hears the sister scream in the hallway, and then she just like, "Is that a real scream?" And Blackwell disappeared, and then she's walking back to her room, and then she gets ready for the night. And when she wakes up in the morning, that's when she sees the ghoul. She goes to, she was like, "I'm tired. I'm not even going to turn on the
Oh,
lights."
yes. Okay. Rewind. Wow, I'm jumping. This is why I cannot take. This does happen in the same chapter, I believe,
It
right?
does. It does.
Okay. So, yes, okay, it's all coming back.
Yeah.
Y'all, it's just from here on out, it just keeps moving.
Yeah, it's moving fast.
It just keeps moving. So, if that's something you're looking for, this is it.
Yeah.
This is it. So, anyways, she goes back to the room. She's covered in blood. She's like, I need to take a shower. I need to get ready. She goes into the bathroom. She's looking at her appearance. She's like, oh my God, I look so ghastly. So she starts peeling off her clothes and all that stuff. Then a ghoul is in the tub. And she's like, oh, I thought I was okay. Starts running all that. She falls. She opens the
Yeah.
door.
Opens the door to like a black abyss.
Yes, and then when she turns around, it's like a broom closet. It's not even her room anymore, so she can't go back into the room.
Right.
She's abyss, ghoul, abyss, ghoul. There's no ghoul. It's a broom closet. So in this abyss, she's just falling and falling and falling and falling and falling, and then she finally lands somewhere, and Blackwell's there. Right? It's in the.
Yep.
It's in this gorgeous room.
Yeah, dining room.
And it's like it's very ornate. It has beautiful. She describes it to be very beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So she sees Blackwell. He's like, "Wait, how did you get here? You're not supposed
Did you
to be."
miss me?
Yeah, such a flirt. I love him. I love him. He's
And
like,
the
"How
thing
did you
that
get?"
killed me about that scene is she literally falls through the ceiling. Like she says there's alabaster and stuff that falls, and she falls in the chair, and he's just sitting there with his tea like this, talking about some. Hey girl, you miss me? Just,
like not
normal.
even phased. Like he was expecting her, but he was phased.
Mm-hmm.
Because while she was falling, she heard whispers and
people
people talking and crying and laughing, everything.
And the main voice that she heard that she wanted to pay attention to, I think, she was like, there was a voice that I recognized. It sounded so familiar. I tried to grab onto that. And then that's how she ended up in the room with him. So I think if she focuses on a particular voice, she ends up going wherever that person is.
Yes, I agree with Colette completely.
Mm-hmm. And that's called the Whispering Gate.
Mm-hmm.
And so he asked her, he was like, how'd you summon the Whispering Gate? And she says, I didn't summon the Whispering Gate. I walked outside my room because there was a ghoul attacking me, and it was just there. And he was like, no, that's not how that happens. The Whispering Gate is summoned. That's not normal. Like, the mortal shouldn't be able to call a Whispering Gate. How'd you get through it? And she was like, I just told you. And then they proceed.
So they're in the dining hall and they start talking to each other because he's like, what? Like, how did you get the Whispering Gate? That's like something that's in between our realms. Like, from what I understood, the Whispering Gate is like a passageway from this realm to the other side, which is what they call it. For my
Throne of Glass people, that will be like a weird key. For Akatar, that will be, I don't know. For Crescent City, that would have been the portal.
Yeah.
It's that. It's a portal, basically.
Mm-hmm. And this is where she starts asking him questions because he's sitting there drinking something. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, do you want one? She's like, wait, you could drink? Like, right. And she starts questioning him. She's like, okay, you're a Phantasma. And
what? No, you're not a Phantasma.
Not a Phantasma. Wow. A phantom. a phantom. And it's funny because she's like flabbergasted that he's just relaxing,
Yeah.
having a drink. She's like, "Are you drinking?" He's like, "Yeah, you want some?"
Very nonchalant.
Um, that's when she's like, "Wait, how are you drinking? How are you eating? Ghosts can't drink or eat."
Yeah.
And he tells her that he's a phantom. There, I said it right this time.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And I think that's when he propositions her the first time to be what? Take a deal with him?
like a bargain.
Yeah, a bargain
A
with him.
bargain. And she's like, "I've heard not to take bargains, you know." And he's like, "Okay." He's not even phased by it that she
Yeah.
says no. He's like, "Okay, you'll be back. You'll be back. I got you.
Yep.
I got you." And she asks him, "Is this the dining hall?" And he's like, "Yeah, you're not supposed to be here." They go over the whispering gate thing. He's very intrigued because he's like, "Wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
If you could get to the whispering gate, you could probably help me. I need to find
Something.
I need to find something." And he tells her, she's like, "You don't remember? Am I going back?" She's like, "You don't remember?"
Yeah. No, you're doing it right.
And he's like, "Well, my memory is a bit confusing.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't work all the time." Later on, we do find out that he
He
just
really
doesn't.
just has holes in his memory.
Yes, he could remember everything that happens during Phantasma
Yeah.
in great detail, no problems. But anything outside of Phantasma, he has holes in it. He can't
Correct.
remember. He knows. He lets her know, like, "I know I'm supposed to find something. I don't know where it is. I don't know what I'm looking." She's like, "Oh, well, you told me that the only way
He was
when I
working.
asked you if I could help you, he said you told me I wouldn't be able to help you. That you just needed to find a heart and a key. That's the only way I could be able to help you." He's
And
like,
he
"Well,
looked at her and
wait,"
said, "Why didn't you say that?"
and he's like, "Well, wait. You can definitely help me find that." She's like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Well, you found the whispering gate, and you're not even supposed to be able to find that,
Yeah.
and you found it." And so now he's intrigued. He's like, "I'll walk you back to your room."
Mm-hmm.
And then this is when
Yeah. He
she's scared
snatches
to go
Eva, cleans
back
the
in her
room.
room. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
all clean and all that stuff.
And so she declines the bargain and she heads back to the dining room later that day. And that's when they go to their first, what is it called? Ritual, right? I don't know. Game.
What is it called? Like, we didn't just read
First
about it.
round. I don't know.
Level. Level.
Level. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes.
First
Their
level.
first level.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. In this chapter, she finally tells him her name. Because
Maria,
she's like, "Oh,
Maria.
so I can call you Blackwell?" And he's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Okay, fine. I'm Ophelia Grimm." And then we go to chapter 12, which is called Fair Game. Coletti. I just love her mug, y'all. I love that mug.
It brings me joy. So, what happens in 12? They go to the dining room. They're eating because they eat dinner before their level. Remember, the levels are held at night, so it's literally all night long. Even if you've completed the level, we have learned that they still test you up until the sun rises. So anything can happen. So they go to their level. There was a little riddle, I guess you want to call it, that basically tells you what you're looking for and how to win. But of course, kind of like Pharaoh, can't none of us solve riddles. So we just trying to survive. Um, they get called name by name and then they enter. And then when they enter into it, she can't feel anything. Basically, it was sensory deprivation. I was telling Liz about it. I was like, that would have had me, I would have had a heart attack. You couldn't feel anything. It's bright white. That's the only thing. But even though it's bright white, it's still not shining in your eye. She touches the wall. She can't feel the wall. She can't hear anything. There's no sound. I'm just like, so it's a maze. She's going through the maze because again, they're called in one by one. She's going through the maze. And then eventually you see the maze start closing in. Think Harry Potter
Yes.
and a goblet of fire.
Mm-hmm.
The maze is shifting, it's moving, she's running through. Finally, she gets to the middle of the maze, and what do we have there? A big old dog. I would have pissed myself.
A hellhound.
That's when I would have died for real.
Now, on each level, they have to find this trap door. And she doesn't see it. She sees the hellhound, and then these two other little punks,
Cade and somebody.
Buford,
Mm-hmm.
Bo. She couldn't remember his name. She's like Buford, Bo, Bradley. She couldn't remember his name. They show up, and she's like, the key of a hellhound is
It protects
that
things.
they do not wake up
Yeah.
until you try to take what they're guarding. Again, Harry Potter and the
Mm-hmm.
is it the Chamber of Secrets?
Yep.
Hagrid's little,
Yep.
And these idiots start running because they see what she didn't see, and it's that he's guarding the trap door.
Yeah.
So when she realizes, she's like, "Oh my god."
Let's wait for everyone to get here so we can all go together. Girl, this ain't no kumbaya moment. You better get the hell on.
Yeah. And then
So they run through, they lift the door, they both jump in. The dog sees her because they're through the door. So she's running. She's running, she smacks into somebody else that's also in a maze. And then he was like, "What are you running from?" At that point they can hear now, since I guess that was that ended the sensory deprivation.
Mm-hmm. Like probably within the maze, but since they got to the end of the maze, like they're like, "Okay, you could hear now." So you can hear yourself die.
Right. So you can hear the screams. God. So he was like, "What are you running from?" And she's like, "The dog." And then they take off running again. And then he's running slow and he's getting tired. And she's like, "I guess I can help him." And she turns around and she blasts her magic that basically like stuns the hellhound or whatever. But she's able to pull the boy through the trap door together, and they both end up in there in the dining hall. Cade and Buford, Bo, Bradley, whatever his name is, they sitting at the dining room table just eating. Just, I made it.
Yeah.
Everybody. And she was like, "You're so selfish. You could have helped more people get through the door. You should have waited." And they were like, "Look, one winner for every level. It's every man for themselves. I can't help it if they couldn't figure that out." Which, honestly, valid point. But I digress. And so they get into it. Why did they get into it? I guess because she kept going off about how, he was basically really selfish. And then he grabs her and she disappears. Like
his hand goes right through her arm.
Yeah. Goes through her arm. And he's like, "Oh my God, she's a ghost. She's an apparition, whatever you want to call it." And he tries to kill her, and Blackwell turns off all the lights. And was like, "I know you're not." Of course, we know that she is able to see apparitions. She hears back Blackwell. She was like, "I know you're not gonna."
No, not yet. Don't they get attacked by the spiders and stuff?
That's after.
Really?
Yeah.
All like running together for me.
Yeah, so Blackwell turns off all the lights in the room because Kate is trying to attack her, and he was like, "I know you're not gonna just sit here and use all of your attitude and frustration towards me. Like, he's basically attacking you. Fight back." So she uses her last bit of magic and blasts Cade, and so that's when he really is like set on fire. And Blackwell turns on all the lights, is like, "Don't touch her unless you want to die." Like, he pulls him back. And then he was like, "Isn't that funny? I guess even ghosts have horrors," or some bull crap like that. That made me just feel like punch him in his face, but it's whatever. So they walk out of the dining room, Blackwell and Ophelia. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Get it, girl.
Yeah, no, right? Yes, you're right. They did have the spiders. That's when the spiders came through. Like, the food that they were eating turns into spiders. The dude,
not her though. She did not eat. It was
the other dude. He just started throwing up. He was like, "Oh my God, was I eating spiders this whole time?" He loses everything, and so he walks her out of the dining room. And then as they're in the hallway talking, because he's like, "I can help you. If you want to help me, we can help each other." And she was like, "I don't trust you." You trying to get me killed. I don't believe nothing you say. And then this big ass serpent appears out of nowhere, looking. So he does what he's supposed to do best. He disappears. But he's talking to her so she can hear him. And he's like, look, I'm gonna do a distraction to get him to come away. When I tell you to run, you run. She's like, okay. So he does something, there's a distraction, the serpent turns and looks to the sound that he heard. And she's standing there, she's like, a minute passes, 2 minute passes, 5 minute passes, and she's like, he hasn't said anything. He's like, oh, he's trying to get me to killed. So she takes off running because honestly, I would have ran too. You took too long. In my mind, you're trying to set me up. I understand that. She takes off running. The serpent sees her, swivels back, once goes down to like attack her. She jumps out the rail and rolls and stuff. I don't know where she learned all of this Mortal Kombat fighting from, but anyway, she jumps out the way, rolls over, has a fire and shoots the last bit of it, and the serpent is like, what? And then comes back and bites her. She was too slow, so it bites her. So now she has the venom. And then finally Blackwell comes back and he does something and it disappears. I don't remember. Anyways, so then Blackwell is like, bro, go to your room. And then she hears her sister. Ophelia, is that you? And she was like, Genevieve, wait. And then Genevieve takes off. She was like, come on, we have to talk. And she took off down the hallway. So her little stupid ass go running behind Genevieve. Like, let this bitch die. Anyways, she takes off behind her. She's like, and she's in her inner monologue. She's like, I'm slowing down. I'm feeling sluggish. I'm trying to get to my sister, but my body is so tired. I'm so weak. And then the Genevieve says to her, right over here in the closet. And she tries to get there. And then she finally lands on the floor. Like she's done. And then she says she hears a silky voice. We all know whose voice that is. And he says, you're going to be trouble. And he picks her up and he carries her back to the room. And it proceeds to the next chapter. Go ahead, Liz.
The next day she wakes up and she's all sweaty. There's a cloth on her head. He took care of her. He made sure that she was fine.
Yep.
He's sitting there watching her sleep.
Like basically with Joey.
The cat is curled up on the bed with her, Poe. I love Poe. And he gives her the bargain again.
Yep.
He's like, listen, I'm on your side. I want to help you because you're helping me find what I need to get out of this place, to figure out what's going, all that's
right.
She finally gives in. Now, to call him, she has to say his name 3 times.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
I thought the same thing, but then I'm like, what if he's the voice in her head, like the other part of him that's missing?
Uh-huh.
I have several theories. I think maybe it's Gabriel, whoever he is, or her dad, if it's not Gabriel, because both Colette and I think it's Gabriel's her dad.
Yeah.
I think Gabriel's her dad, or she is part angel, because you also find out in a little bit. Actually, I think it's in this chapter. He explains that, or she explains it. She never really learned about heaven. Heaven is just another place, just like hell, and it's not like it's good or evil. They just have jobs.
Yeah.
So hell punishes the people that were bad people.
Yep.
And heaven rewards the people that were good people, But it's not anything. And there are angels and there are seraphim.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she's one of them, and she's definitely something.
Yeah, because his nickname for her is Angel, which Liz pointed out. And I was like, I didn't even think about it, because when he said Gabriel, I was just like, who's Gabriel? Didn't even think that's an archangel name. See what you're doing.
So, she's like, how am I supposed to trust you when you're just over here stalking? He's like, whoa, stalking is a strong word. You're the one always finding me.
Right.
So he explains to her, like, basically, you're dumb for following that voice. That was a poltergeist. Do you know what a poltergeist could have done to you? She's like, oh my God, she accepts the bargain, y'all.
Yeah.
She accepts the bargain. And then, let's see here.
That's when she tells him, he asks her everything that she's seen since he got there. And so she tells him about the secret passageway in the room. So he
Mm-hmm.
goes through and he was like, do I need to hold your hand so that you feel okay? Yo, this man is a jerk. So they go through that tunnel and there's nothing there. Like she
Oh,
goes
wait,
and
wait,
makes
wait.
it again. Mm-hmm.
Wait, we forgot. She accepts it before she accepts the bargain. She's like, what do you get out of it? You're going to help me win this, but what do you get out of it? And he's like, well, I would get 10 years of your life.
Mm-hmm. That's how he's able to be a phantom. He just basically extends his life. And
Yeah.
remember, this Phantasma is every year. So if he's getting 10 years every year.
Yes, and we're not in a little bit we'll get more into what a phantom is.
Yeah.
Um so yes, go.
And so they make it through the tunnel. They get to the end. They open the door. And then he was like, it's a broom closet. And
A real one.
she was like, I know. And he was like, so make the other room appear. And she was like, what are you talking about? I can't make a room appear. And he was like, think about it and make the room appear. So she does. She closes the door. She thinks about the room. And lo and behold, when she opens the door, a room appears. Listen, you over here telling him, no, he could teach you how to use your magic. Your mama dead. So they basically are walking around the manor or whatever, the mansion, whatever you want to call it, trying to find stuff. But it's random things. So he's in the library and she says that he's in a chair just chilling, reading a kid's book. And she's looking through the books and she's getting frustrated. She's like, why are you just sitting there? He was like, oh, I already looked through all of this. He's like, why do you have me looking through all of this then? He was like, I never told you to look through any of this. I told you to make a room appear so that we can look somewhere. He was like, you literally could find the whispering gate. So clearly you have some type of power where you can find things that
That
I may
I
not be
can.
able to see or other people couldn't have helped me to find. So do that. But at that whole time, he was like flirting with her. He's all in her personal space. There's a moment of sensuality. And then Jasper walked through the door. Who is Jasper? That was the guy at the gate in the beginning of the book that helped that told her to get in, that had to take one of her deepest fears or whatever for entry. That's his name, Jasper. And go, Liz.
So we meet Jasper and he's like, oh, not even phased that she's there. He's just like, oh, hey. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering who you were going to pick Blackwell. Have you kissed her yet? And she's like, wait, what? And he's like, leave it alone, stop, blah, blah, blah. There's some banter.
Mm-hmm.
Jasper basically lets her know that this is what he does. He finds a contestant, and then, be careful not to fall in love, because that is one of the rules in Phantasma, is that you cannot fall in love.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, wait, what? And then Blackwell's like, let's go. We're not talking to this guy anymore. Now, Jasper does take his hat off. And when he takes his hat off, I don't know if it means anything, but I flagged it. He has a third eye, and that's what helps him see things within people, or see other things that people can't see.
Mm-hmm.
I have a theory about that in one of the upcoming chapters. So they go from there. She's like, well, you know what? They leave. And he's like, maybe we should start getting to know each other. And he's like, what's your favorite? She's like, what's your favorite color? And he like tugs on her little bow and he's like, red. And she's like, oh, mine too.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I did highlight that he was thinking about one of her questions. It wasn't an important, they're just, back and forth, like, Uh, he does not stop. He taps his fingers while he's thinking. So I don't know because
You are right.
the voice is always telling her to
To
tap
tap
things.
something.
And another thing that I highlighted, I don't know if it was in the past.
And she would finish it. So if he did
Mm-hmm.
like two, she would do one. If he did
Yep.
one, she would do two. Like, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
But I think they're also, I mean, obviously they're connected because remember, her favorite color was red. His favorite color was red. She was like, "What's your favorite book?" He was like, "Oh, I love this book about this." And she's like, "Oh my God, I love it." And they did. And then,
And
like, they
she
had a
caught
lot
herself.
of,
She's like, wait.
yeah, but they both had a lot of things that they both enjoyed and liked together. So there's definitely a connection of some sort beyond the physical, obviously, but like some type of connection between the two.
Yes. And then he explains to her that some of the people that are in Phantasma, the apparitions that are there, the ghosts,
Mm-hmm.
are people who have died during Phantasma. And she's like, and then the ghouls are those ghosts that stay there too long and they get warped and they turn into ghouls. And she asks him, "What if you died in Phantasma?" He's like, "I thought of the possibility, but a lot of apparitions who are here were contestants who died in the competition. Yet I have become a phantom rather than a regular apparition." And she lets us know that she doesn't really have a lot of knowledge about phantoms,
Mm-hmm.
but she does know that phantoms are usually created when an immortal dies. Immortals like vampires and so he's like, "Oh wait, well maybe I was immortal." She's like, "Yeah, maybe, but you could be something else too." And it's like, girl, this is one of those moments. It's like, this is something you should maybe look into.
Right,
Like, don't just dismiss it. But she
right.
dismisses it. Um, he he's such a flirt because he's like, "Well, maybe I can be a vampire because I do like to bite." She always gets flushed or blushes when he says these
Yeah,
things, and he enjoys
becomes
it. He
flustered.
loves it. I mean, I'm loving it too, so don't.
Right.
They're getting ready for the next level. She
Mm-hmm.
has to go to the dining hall, and when she walks in, everybody's already there, waiting for her. And they turn and they look at her, and she knows, oh, these two idiots went and told everybody that they think I'm some type of ghost or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And Cade is super aggressive, but she's funny because his little Bradley Beau, whatever his name is his little sidekick. And she was like, "Oh, I didn't know if you would make it or if you would drown in a pool of your vomit."
Yep.
So she's making digs. Cade doesn't like it. He storms at her. She stands her ground. She's like, "Nay, nay, I'm not scared."
Right.
And he, being
Slap.
the, yeah, the bejesus out of her.
Bust her
She's
lip.
even stunned. She's like, "Ah, wait, what?" But this works in her favor because her lip cracked and she started bleeding, and people are like, "She's bleeding." And he's like, "No, I know what I saw." And they're like, "No, you idiot. She's bleeding. She's not, she's something, but
Yeah.
she's not part
I'm
of
close.
this."
Right.
Then comes in the next announcer. Each level has someone that
A
works it,
devil.
that head, that is like the introducer of the level.
Mm-hmm.
In comes this female, and she lets them know, like, she's a seducer. And the next level is lust.
Mm-hmm.
And she gives them a little riddle. Ophelia notices that in the back of the dress is a
A tail.
tail. Because she goes to one of the guys there that was saying something. And she's like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, you would look better without a mouth." And just wipes his mouth off his face. The lady next to him starts screeching. We later find out that this is his wife. They're there together. I mean, I think it's his wife. They don't say it's his wife, but they're
Yeah.
there together
Yeah.
doing it for Michael, which I'm guessing is their son.
Do it for little Saint.
So now, should we read the little? Each floor gets a riddle. She did not remember the riddle from the first floor level. She didn't remember it all the
Mhm.
way. So she's trying to do her hardest to remember it this time. And the riddle is, in a realm of desire, illusions enthrall, contestants beware, lest you succumb to their call. Amongst the lusterful vices, you must pick only one. When the first bell tolls, the trial has begun. Before the fourth chime, the truth you must find, and the key to your freedom beneath a bed lies. So she's repeating this, watching everybody go through. Finally, her name comes, gets called, she goes in. When she goes in, it's like, go ahead, Colette.
It is an erotica party.
Yeah, there's like beds, but there's like a show that's gonna
Yeah,
go on.
yeah. It sounds like I've never been. I've only read about it, but it sounds like they have these places where you can go in. Typically, with people with high amounts of money, you can go in. You can have all your sexual desires met, and they go in and do everything, and it's very much undercover, and then they go home. Like
Movies,
those type of.
eyes wide shut.
Yep.
Eyes wide shut. It's something like that.
Yep.
So she's like, they make her take a drink.
Hmm.
She
She
had
chose
to
red.
pick, but it didn't matter because the drink, they all do the same thing.
Yeah.
Basically, it's like a drug that makes her feel really good and all of that. And she gets summoned by a woman. She's like, come watch the show with me. Come lay
Hmm.
here. And she's like, okay, because everything, even her, she says, even her clothes feel good on her body.
Yep.
So she sits there, and the lady's like moving her hair. And she's like, this won't hurt. You know, just, she's like, wait, well, she's lucid enough
Yeah.
to be like, wait, what's not going to hurt? And the lady starts getting rough,
Hmm.
like holding her down. And then that's when someone who seems familiar, sounds familiar to her,
Hmm.
comes, and it's like, she was mine first. And she's like, oh, I know that voice.
Hmm.
And the lady's like, no, she's mine. She's like, the guy was like, not by force. And then they give her the choice. You could go with him or you can stay with her. She goes with him. The
Hmm.
lady's mad, starts screaming or whatever. And then they go off into another bed. And he sits
Off
her
of the
down.
cut, away from everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Just so you know.
Yep.
And he's there and he's saying all the right things, and he was like, wait a minute, let me go get you the anecdote. And she was like, no, the antidote, sorry, not an anecdote. She was like, the antidote for what? He was like, you just drank some poison. If
Mm-hmm.
you don't take the antidote, you'll die. So she was like, oh, thank you. So he comes back and she drinks it, and she's a little bit more lucid, and she was like, oh my God, what would have happened? And he was like, he's all over her, anything could have happened. And that's when she realizes it's Blackwell. And he was like, yeah, so like now we just need to figure out, how to not participate in the bloodlust that you did, because she drank a red drink, and the red drink, that particular red drink, we have her bloodlust. So he was like, we just got to make sure you don't participate in the bloodlust. And she's sitting on his lap, and they feeling all on each other. And she was like, but wait, Blackwell, I thought you said I had to call you in order for you to come. And he said, yeah, you did call me. No, he said, I thought you might have gotten lost, so I just came to check on you and see. And she was like, no,
Sweetheart.
Blackwell.
He calls her sweetheart. And she's
Yes.
like,
And she was like,
sweetheart.
no, Blackwell, you said I needed to call you in order for you to come. And he was like, I did come. And he starts to kiss on her neck. And she was like, I don't know, Blackwell, something's off. That's the third time she calls his name. So then Blackwell appears, and she realizes that the homeboy is not Blackwell and starts to fight.
And this is where I think it's Jasper. Because he said, now this could just be me letting my mind run. But she's like, oh, he's like, oh, I could just take another look and make whatever you want, whatever's in your mind come to life type of thing. So, but that it could be nothing, guys. That could just be me being me, because the devils do have abilities.
Yep.
And mind reading and is not off the table. She says it's
Right.
not off the table. So, just flag, maybe
And
Jasper.
then Blackwell comes through. She starts choking him because she's fighting, because she's like, no, he's trying to take me away or whatever. And this is another one. And he was like, so he disappears and reappears behind her. And he was like, look, girl, you called me. Why are you
But he
fighting
calls
me?
her Angel, and that's when she's like, wait,
Yeah.
he said Angel. He
Yeah.
said Angel. We're good.
And so she was like, I didn't call you. And he was like, you had to have called me. I couldn't have appeared here if you didn't call me. And she was like, well, he said that this was bloodlust, and in order for us to work through, we wouldn't been able to go through without succumbing to the bloodlust. And he was like, did you wait a minute? Were you turned on? And he's over there smiling and said, and you called my name while being turned on? Because
You would hear me?
he was like, the person that you're most attracted to is the person that appears when you drink the bloodlust.
And he knows.
And he
He
is
knows.
teasing. She says in the book, she was like, I wish I could have never looked at his face because the light that shined from his smile. Because he is cheesing like, are you attracted to me? So he was like, yeah, girl, no, we need to find a door. It's under the bed. That's what the truth lies underneath the bed. Let's go. So they find a door after searching.
Now, the voice does speak, because I don't know
Yes.
if it means anything, but the voice has not been talking to her as
Yes.
much while she's in Phantasma. Barely, really. As to when she was out in the regular world,
Mm-hmm.
the voice was constantly like,
But
you're
he's
gonna, you got
louder
5
in
minutes.
Phantasma. She says it's
Yes.
more of a whisper when she's out, but when she's in Phantasma, he has a little bit more bass or authority when he speaks to her.
Mm-hmm.
Like
And
it's
one
more
thing,
pronounced.
yep. And one thing that we did miss is that during the maze,
Mm-hmm.
the voice was like excited for her to get hurt. And she's like, wait, that's different. The voice has never
Yeah.
been like that about me. But that was the only time that that's happened so far. Now the voice, when they went to the bed that she was attacking the guy, the real guy, he's like, the voice is like, smash his face and gouge his eyes out, break his nose, tear out his hair.
Yeah.
But
And
it's
she was like,
louder,
what?
like Colette said. It's
And he was like,
louder.
don't you like the real me? So apparently he has a little bit more agency in Phantasma, I guess.
Yeah. So now in chapter 21, she's landed back in the dining hall with Blackwell.
Mm-hmm.
And she's kind of disoriented. She doesn't know what's real, what's not, because if you remember in chapter 20, she was bamboozled by one of the demons there, or the devils there,
Mm-hmm.
that portrayed themselves as Blackwell because she drank a drink that shows her the person she's most attracted to,
Yeah.
which is the last thing Blackwell needed to hear with his big-headed self. So back in the dining hall, Blackwell's like looking her over, and he sees that she has some blood on her lip, and he's thinking that it was somebody from the level that did it. And she's like, no, it was Cade, and poof, he's gone.
Yep.
He's gone. She's like, wait, where did he
He said, hold
go?
on, I'll take care of it lightweight. I got it.
Yeah. The shadow voice kicks in, and the shadow voice does not like Lucy, which I don't know if I like her or not. I feel like she's trying to be her friend because she's
Yeah.
friends with John VF. And but it could
There's
also
something
be,
more to the story.
I believe so. But
Yeah.
then again, you guys already know by now, I always think there's something more, even when there's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um
And
Ophelia
this is
finds out.
where,
Go ahead.
oh, sorry, go ahead. Yeah. So I was about to say, this is where Ophelia is in the library trying to, look for information. And this is when her obliviousness kicks in because the girl, Lucy, literally has a book in her hand that talks about angels and demons. And Lucy doesn't think nothing of it. She's like, oh, I'm glad you made it through, Lucy. And I'm like, girl, take that book. And then Jasper comes in and tries to make a deal with her. I'm side-eyeing Jasper. I know how I feel about Jasper, but I feel like there's also something more to that story also.
Yeah. I don't know. As of right now, I think he's just a devil. And I don't know what side he's on. I think he leans more towards Blackwell's side than the other. You know what I mean? Like him and Blackwell have they have a relationship. They're
Yeah,
cool with each other, you
yeah.
know. But how far does that go? I wouldn't trust any of them really. So while her and Lucy are having the conversation, she finds out that Lucy and Leon
Mhm.
have a thing for each other. They kind of look out for each other. One sleeps while the other one stays awake so they can protect each other. And Ophelia's like, okay, yeah, that's great. Have fun with that. You should be careful. You don't really need to have friends.
I will say in this scene, I feel like Ophelia was really a bitch. Like,
She is a bitch always to Lucy. And
yeah,
I
she's
feel
very
so,
focused on I need to find my sister, and I'm just like, that doesn't mean you need to be rude.
yeah, like we don't need to be friends type of thing. You
Yeah.
stay over there. Don't worry about me. You don't know me, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be like that. Lucy then lets her know that the guy who if we go back, one of the contestants had his mouth uh, made to
Remove.
disappear, covered, kind of like Deadpool style.
Yeah.
In one of the, anyways, so um, and the girl that started screaming when that happened was actually his sister Edna. It was not
Mhm.
his wife, and they had some issues with one of their little brothers, and that's why they were there. Um, While she's in this room, Lucy finally leaves after her feelings got hurt enough because she also does not take a hint right away. And she really does, like, okay, I guess what I did to you, Colette, kind of like trying to force her to be her friend.
Yeah.
And so
And
once
it
Lucy,
might have backfired because now I call Liz all the time.
so once Lucy leaves, she starts looking for stuff and she finds a button that turns the bookcase 180. And she's like, oh, wait, look, I found another room.
Yep.
Um, and she's then interrupted by Jasper. My notes as of now say I don't like him. So at this moment in time, I do not like Jasper. But later on, my feelings like I go, oh, I don't know. I think he might be. Anyway, she finally pushes the button, and on the other side of the wall, the shadow voice tells her to get ready to run.
Hmm.
He's always a punk.
Yeah.
She gets scared and calls for Blackwell. Blackwell, Blackwell, Blackwell. He shows up and she notes the blood on his clothes. And he's like, don't worry about it. And that's when we know it's Cade's. And that's um they're both on the same page about Cade. So she's not
Right.
upset that he did that, you know. She's like, hee hee, they have some flirting, and that's what I have for that chapter. Is there anything you wanted to add for that chapter?
Mm. Oh, he also lets her know because he was upset about her getting hurt by Cade, and he lets her know that every time she gets hurt, it it takes away some of the power. So it takes longer for him to get the feeling or hear the call or get to her wherever she is.
Yeah.
So just want to think about that tidbit for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next chapter was nothing. I put nothing. Liz has a bevy of notes. Please continue, Liz.
Chapter 22. So once she hits that button and they're in that strange room, it's like a corridor, they say,
Mm-hmm.
and they find some tally marks. And then they see, oh, this is two tallies, and this one over here is four tallies. So then they figure out it's sets of tallies from 1 to 10. I don't know what that means. We don't, as of right now, even through chapter 35, I didn't see where anything came up
Yeah.
that means something yet. So we don't know. Maybe later on. Um, while they're looking for all the sets of the numbers, they finally find them all. As soon as they do that, the room starts to shake and drops of acid start coming from the ceiling.
Yeah, it's real weird.
Blackwell's like, hold up, he pushes her towards a tunnel. And
Mhm.
as soon as they get out of range, it starts pouring. But some of the acid did get on her dress.
Mhm.
And when they make it to this like storage room or some
Yeah.
strange room, and he's like, she starts hissing because it hits her skin.
Mhm.
And then he's like, "Don't worry, I got you, boo. I'll take it off. I gotta take it off. Make sure you're okay.
Right.
Let me take it off real quick." And he's very good at taking it off, she says.
You're right.
So then from there, that's when he tells her he got upset that she got hurt, and he tells her, he's like, "Listen, you can't keep getting. You gotta let me know. I gotta help you because if you keep getting hurt, it unravels our bond."
Mhm.
And like Colette said, that makes it harder for them to communicate, harder for him to be there for her, harder for him to transport her if he has to.
Yeah.
So yeah. Um
And
she
then, so I think
realizes,
after she gets hurt, that's when he's like, "Okay, so I think we found enough for tonight. Let's go back to the room." And she was like, "No, we're here.
yeah,
Let's go ahead and look." And he's just
yep.
like, "Ugh, fine."
And they start flirting,
Mhm.
and he's teasing her because she's practically naked.
Mhm.
Then he starts teasing her about the vampire that was acting like he would, because
Yeah.
again, he knows she saw who she was most attracted to, which was him. So
Mhm.
he starts teasing her about it. And he was like, "So, do you want me to tell you how it's different or do you want me to show you?" And she's like, "Show me." Then
Mhm.
they have a whole scene in this little strange room,
Shout
and it's
out to
all about
Kaylee.
her.
What's her last name? Kaylee Smith.
Is it Smith? Hart?
Whoever wrote Fantasma.
Oh,
I know her first name is Kaylee.
maybe. Am I saying it wrong? You know what, y'all? It's Kaylee Smith. Callie Hart is Quicksilver, which I just finished. So I'm so sorry.
Yeah, Kaylee Smith. She wrote. I'm sorry. That is how you write a smut scene.
I agree.
It was explicit enough that you got what they were saying, but still not explicit that every detail was there and it didn't take you 17 pages.
It wasn't over descriptive.
Yes.
It was to the point
You
with
had some
enough
room for
fluff.
imagination.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it.
Within, yep, yeah. I gotta say, she does write it. And
And then after they do that and she finds her bearings, they're looking around the floor and then she finds a little thing that's scratched out on the floor and it says something and Gabrielle forever. I'm assuming it's her mama's name, but we don't get confirmation on that. But
yeah,
yeah, it says something and Gabrielle forever. So they probably fell in love.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Aww. And then next chapter 23, it's called Oddly Comforting.
So this is where they're back in the room
Mm-hmm.
and they start talking about what they just saw, Gabriel Forever, and Gabriel Forever. And she's like, "Wait, they have to have some type of contestant logs." And he's like, "You know what? The Devils are actually really big about record keeping. Let's see what we could do."
Mm-hmm.
Um, he then tucks her into sleep because he's like, "I know you're tired and all that." And he tucks her into sleep. She wants more of the
Yes.
fun stuff. And he's like, "You're tired."
Right.
Tucks her in. He's like, "I'll stay." She's like, "Don't leave me." He's like, "Don't worry, I'll stay here till you fall asleep." So, and he does. The next morning, she wakes up and he's not there. She's laying in bed and she's just thinking about her sister and everything that's been going on and what she saw and how does her sister know who Gabriel is, like
Mhm.
all of this stuff. And wait, let me go back because after he tucks her in, the shadow voice speaks to her and tells her to tap on the headboard 3 times. And when she does it, he's like, "What are you doing?" And she says, and I highlighted a note. So one moment, please. So she says that it's her inner demons. Like what she's doing is for her inner demons. And uno momento, por favor, while I look up this note. Ba-da-ba. Mm-hmm. When I'm sorry, guys. And he basically hints at like they'll get rid of the demons or whatever. And
Mhm.
she says, if you thought, no, if all my inner demons were destroyed, there wouldn't be much left of me. And I felt that. Like I'm like, oh, she she just thinks she's like this person that's like not able to be normal, not able to be loved, not
Yeah.
able to, because she was brought up very different from her sister, very sheltered and like this is your life that
Mhm.
so this part right here kind of broke my heart for her. I was just like, oh.
Yeah.
So the next morning she wakes up and he's not there, and that's when she's thinking about her sister and Blackwell and all that, and the voice starts talking to her, telling her she's pathetic, she's creepy, she's embarrassing, and it keeps going over it. You're embarrassing, 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 embarrassing. Blackwell shows up, and the voice quiets, of course.
He always quiets whenever Blackwell comes around. I wrote that down
Yes.
in one of the next chapters, but there's something about Blackwell that the voice is kind of like he recedes.
Yep, yep. And then Blackwell lets her know that he made a deal with Jasper
Mhm.
to get the contestant logs. And she's like, yay, yay, yay. And then they're flirting a little bit. And then now we're in chapter 24.
This is where they went to go do the training.
Mm-hmm.
I have to jog my memory, y'all. So this is where they go and do the training. And I think before they hit that though, the shadow voice very much tries to dissuade her from forming a friendship with Blackwell. He's like, that shouldn't be your friend. He's out to get you. He doesn't care about you. And
Hmm.
then what happened?
What if the shadow voice is the creator of the games? Trying to keep her away from it? I don't know. Don't listen to me. That just came to me. Anyways,
I don't know.
yeah.
Let's let's put a pin in that. Okay. So he then tells her, you shouldn't be friends with him, whatever. Blackwell comes to get her, like, hey, I don't care about what you got going on. We got to train. She's like, I'm tired. He was like, oh my God, tire yourself with training. So he pulls her away to go train. Um, and then he was like, what about your disappearing act? How do you do that? And she was like, I don't know how I do it. I just do it. And so he punches her. He does all these type of things. And she's like, ow, what are you doing? I told you I don't know how to do it. And then he wins and gets a knife. He said, okay, well, you got to figure it out. Whop!
And she disappears.
And she disappears. So he was like, I thought it would be something to do with keeping you alive. So whenever you're in danger, you disappear. So you need to learn how to train that. So he basically is telling her how she should feel that, what she should be looking out for in order to call it at will, as opposed to just
Mm-hmm.
being in terror and disappearing.
Yeah.
So he trains her on that. And then the voice as well. He tries to talk about it with her, and she's not having any of it. He was like, I know there's something going on. And she's very much like, no, we're not discussing it. And she just completely shuts down. And he was like, fine, I guess.
If you
And then we
say so.
proceed to the next chapter, which is,
Well, in
oh
this chapter, this is when Jasper brings them the logs and he lets
yes,
them know,
correct.
look, you guys have 24 hours with these. And then from there, this is when he gets the logs.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about how they're going to look for him. And then she has to get ready, go to the dining room for her next level.
Yeah,
While she's on her way, she's daydreaming about everything and runs into Cade's back. And Cade's like, look, I don't care. You can sick your little demon on me. Because, that's when he confirms that Blackwell went and effed him up
yeah,
for slapping her, because in the previous chapter he had slapped her and that's when she bled, and everybody's like, oh my god, she's not a devil.
right.
So that's where that ends. Actually, she's in the dining room and she's constantly thinking about Blackwell, and she gets her clue for the next level.
Mm-hmm.
She gets called in, and when she gets in there she's in a cage. And now we go into the next chapter, which
Mm-hmm.
is called level 3.
Correct. Because remember, it's every night they go into another level. So level 3, um, she's in a cage. She is trying to figure out how to win. So essentially, what happens is what she realizes is if you get a nugget, you're supposed to get gold nuggets. If you get a gold nugget, somebody else's cage will drop. So you have the potential of killing someone whilst trying to save yourself.
Yep. And your cage goes up, which is
Correct.
what you want, so you can get to the cliff and get out of that level.
Correct.
But in helping yourself,
You're
you're
harming someone
actually,
else.
yeah, you're somebody else is in danger. You put somebody else in more
Yeah.
danger.
So you really have to think about your moral compass at this point. Like, is it worth it? Sure
Yeah.
is. You finna die. And so she slips her hand on something because Ophelia,
She's not pink.
she, what do you call them? She'll cut herself on wind, child. Like she just, this
She
girl
grabs the chain and burns her hand.
burns her hand. So
And that's when
eventually she
she's like,
calls
wait.
Blackwell, Blackwell, Blackwell. Because I don't know why you don't call him first when you get in there. I digress.
It doesn't get better in the next chapters. Like she's still
Girl.
actually, I think in what no.
No, she doesn't.
She has yet to call him right away.
Yeah. She always goes in and she's in her head. And I'm like, can you get out your head and call your help? I don't understand that. So she calls Blackwell. Blackwell is like, what are you doing? And she was like, well, why aren't you here with me? Aren't you supposed to be here? And he was like, well, I can't go in there for some other reason. I don't remember what the reason was. So he can only speak to her. He wasn't in corporeal form. He was in like spirit form, I guess you would call it.
Yeah. I don't remember why.
Yeah, I can't remember why that. Oh, the weight of the cage. So the more weight you had would also make you go lower as well.
Yes.
So, he could only talk her through it. So she was like, I need you to heal me because I cut my hand. And he was like, well, then I'd have to be corporeal form. You might drop into the river and die. So no. Love you though. So she basically panics because that's what she does.
Yeah.
And then I had put in my notes that she is a mini Farah. I don't know if y'all read Akatar. Farah can't figure out a riddle for nothing.
Oh.
She get a riddle every level and she never figures it out.
And during this process, when she finally gets a hang of it, somebody does die.
Yeah, she starts hyperventilating.
And the voice starts messing with her about this.
Yeah. And then I put as well, we found out that Ophelia's love language is words of affirmation because the voice is messing with her and she starts freaking out. And Blackwell was like, hey, it's either you or them. I understand you don't want to do it, but you said you want to win. We have to win. I need you to get up. I need you to get these gold nuggets so you can get out of there. He was like, you're doing great. And as every time she gets a gold nugget, you're doing fantastic. You're doing so good. I'm so proud of you. And she was eating that up. And she thought to herself, she was like, my mom never gave me a compliment. It was always what I was doing wrong. It was never good job. And I was like, that's so sad. Was your mother Caribbean?
Right.
But yeah, so I love that for her because he really did rally behind her so that she can get herself out of there. But yeah, that's pretty much that.
Yep, she makes it out. She makes it to the top of the cliff. Cade, of course, was the first one out. I want to know who's helping him. There's no
because he's
way.
Always so good.
There's no way. He's always the first one. I can't stand him.
Yeah.
And I hope Blackwell is the one to him. But anyway.
Yeah.
So she makes it up barely. And that's where that chapter ends.
And then she basically passes out when she makes it out because she was so tired. But yeah. And then we go to the next chapter, chapter 26, which is called Taste.
So I put Tease is what it should have been named.
So when she gets out of there, Blackwell basically is trying to talk to her about the voice. He was like, hey, we need to talk about this because that voice starts talking to you and you lose all will to do anything. You completely freak out. You just go into your head. You lose momentum. He was like, so we need to figure that out. And she's, again, shuts down the conversation. She is not having it. She doesn't want to talk about it. Um, oh, I said this man be spitting mad game. See page 209. Let's take a look.
Let's take a look.
What do you want? And he moved and turned into his head. He moved in, turning his head so that he can lightly touch his lips to the underside of her jaw, because they try to get busy in this chapter. And he says, I want you to let me see. And she says, no, he says, I want you to let me see all of you. There is nothing I have seen yet that has made me look away. So no atrocity you could commit to make me not want you like this, no matter how forbidden. He seared a kiss into the sensitive spot at the end of his trail. I want to know everything. I want to see all the darkest corners of your mind. He tilted his face up to whisper his next words right into her ear. I want to taste your sins. I said,
I highlighted that last part. Ooh.
Come on.
Yes.
I said, you better taste the sins, boy.
He almost made it. He almost made it on my book day list. You'll hear why later, why he's not. But anyway. That's what the chapter is.
This is in the middle of the hallway, by the way, while he over there seducing her. And then she says, because he ends up giving her fellatio. If you don't know what that means, you're too young. Don't worry about it. Yeah, in the middle of the hallway at that. But she says that she feels like there are eyes on her as he's doing it. So I'm sitting here like, is the house watching her or is someone else watching her?
At this point when I was reading, I thought it was like the game master. And remember, it could be more than one person, because there's that, I forgot what it's called, the outer realm, that could, the other side, I don't, is that what it's called? Where they could basically just be a spectator. Now, is that just for the levels, or like a spectator of everything that's going on in the manor?
I think that's everything that's going on in the manor.
So, but it has to be someone who's powerful.
But not only that, she said it's not. She said it's more than one time, though. She feels like they're watching her specifically. So I don't think they're viewing everybody. It's her. There's some interest in her and what she can do, or who she, with her teaming up with Blackwell. So there's definitely interest in her specifically.
Yes.
The next chapter, chapter 27, is called New Sustenance. I'm sorry. Pretty much they have sex.
Yeah, I put brown chicken, brown cow.
That sex scene was
good.
It was good.
Well written.
It was.
But it was a whole chapter.
So if you decide to read it, you should go into that with caution. Okay, great. Next chapter is chapter 28, and that is called Divulge.
So she wakes up, and Blackwell's still in the bed with her, because they moved over to the room. And from there, they talk about the contestant logs, and he says, hey, I haven't found anything yet. There's a lot of Gabriels, blah, blah, blah. He also lets her know, because excuse me, he also lets her know, they start hearing some screaming. He's like, oh, don't worry about that. That's a haunt. That was scheduled, but I took care of yours, so you don't have to deal with it. And she's like, oh my God, can we go somewhere quieter? Okay, I don't think she really talks like that. But
that's how it sounds in my head.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so. And he stops in the dining hall first to get her some food, because, lots of energy was
spent.
But yeah. And then from there, he takes her to his favorite spot, which is like a drinking parlor.
Yeah.
Do they make houses with drinking parlors? I want a drinking parlor. That just sounds so like.
He basically gets her drunk.
Yeah. Well, she gets herself drunk.
Yeah.
He gets, because
he's like, let's talk about it, because you seem really sad. And then she's talking and drinking and
talking about John Vieve and all this stuff. Yeah. And she thought,
and then
she
was
her
thinking,
sister.
she was laying on the couch and she was playing in his hair because he was sitting in front of the couch, and she was thinking to herself, she was like, oh my god, I really do like him, but I'm not going to see him after this. How is this going to end? What am I going to do in the outside world? She's just like going down a rabbit hole of of actually liking someone and being able to be herself with that person, knowing what they know. And
Mm-hmm.
she was like, excuse me, she's like, where am I ever going to find that again? And then he says to her, he doesn't say he's coughing. He says to her, don't even think about it. Just relax and go to sleep. And I'll put for my notes, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Can you read her mind?
I, it's a possibility, maybe.
Excuse me.
We really don't know the extent of his powers.
Yeah.
We don't know what he's capable of
Because
fully.
remember, one of the things she said is mind reading is something the demons can do. So he's
But he's
clearly,
not a demon.
I mean, devils can do, but he's
He's not
over
that
that.
either. Yeah.
He's over that. So I would think he would have more power to do more things.
Yeah.
So I'm
I
like,
just put,
wait.
for the end of this chapter, I put, he gives her a drink, more flirting. She gets drunk, more flirting. She goes to sleep.
And then we go to chapter 29, which is villainous theatrics.
Mm.
This is where we meet what's his face.
Yeah.
So she's talking to him and basically trying to figure out, okay, what's your first memory here? How did you get here? What did you used to do in a past life? She's just basically trying to see if he can remember anything at all. And so all the memories of Phantasma isn't clear. Earlier, he had said that he only remembers things in Phantasma, but he doesn't even remember the first Phantasma he was in. He doesn't have all of that information. So clearly, all of his memories still aren't there. He only remembers the most recent years. And by recent, we mean like the last 50 years or so.
Yeah. They also go over that he's kissed contestants,
Yeah,
but he's never slept with any of them.
yeah. That was reserved for her.
Contestants. Contestants.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Contestants. You'll understand in a little bit.
And then I also wrote in my notes, every time she thinks something, like as he's talking to her, she's thinking something, and he would respond to whatever that thought was.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, she's oblivious. So she's not even picking up on it. She's like, oh my God, we're so connected. And I'm like, I think he's reading your mind, girl.
Mm-hmm. Um, they also talk about how he hasn't really found anything in the logs yet.
Yeah. And
So,
then Sinclair comes.
the lights flicker, and then this MFer shows up. So, come on, lights flickering never leads to something good.
Right.
So we meet Sinclair. Sinclair is one of the powerful demons there.
Yeah.
And he propositions Ophelia to forfeit, and he'll cancel out her deal with Blackwell. And he's like, do you really want to give him 10 years of your life? That's a lot,
Yeah.
He tries to talk. She's like, leave me alone. And this is when Sinclair's like, oh, you're picking him? Well, let me tell you about him. And ask him what he found on page blah, blah, blah. I don't remember the page. I didn't write it down.
Wait, we went too far. I had wrote down this part that stuck out to me. He was saying, she said when he initially came in the room, she was like, there's a familiarity about this particular devil, but she can't place it. And I'm like, is that the devil that's been watching them this whole
Ooh,
time
probably.
in the house? But she said there's a familiarity. And then I'm thinking, is that the voice in her head?
Ooh. He is sinister.
Yeah, very much so.
I really want to know who the
And then
voice
he also says to her that he notices like that she can find things other people cannot. And then, like you said, he made the deal to be like, you don't have to work with Blackwell. I'll go ahead and release you from here. You don't have to give the 10 years of your life. And she asks him why. And he says, it's not you I want something from. I apologize for my crudeness. I couldn't help getting a rise out of him because he made Blackwell mad. Like, I've never seen Blackwell act like that. He was completely out of character. Like, he has
Rigid.
real issues with Sinclair. And he said, and unfortunately for you, you seem to be something he cares about, which means you're the key to his undoing. I just wanted to point out, he said the key.
I didn't even write that down, but yes.
Yeah. And
No,
because,
I
like,
think
he's
she's
super
the
powerful.
key.
He literally locked her out and he's banging on the door to get back in. He couldn't even get back into the room.
Yes, that's how powerful Sinclair is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when
Continue.
he lets him know, like, ask him what he found on page 200 and whatever of the contestant log. And she's
Yep.
like, wait, what? And that's the end of that chapter.
Well, I put notes here. I had said Tessie Grimm, her mom, and Gabriel White, which is the dad's last
Oh,
name.
so was it in? It must have been in that chapter then.
Yeah.
So that's when she does look at the log and she
Yeah.
sees both of those entries on that same
Yeah.
page.
They were in Phantasma together. But he
Hmm.
also signed the log, which means he couldn't have been a devil or anything. But we know he's a. Did we get to that part yet?
Who, Gabriel?
Yeah, what he is.
Not yet. It's in
Okay.
the next
So he
chapter.
signed the log. So I was like, wait, so he must be human if he signed a log, because clearly it's only humans that can go. And does that mean Blackwell knew more than to know more about her to begin with than he let on?
Yep. And that's when we go into the next chapter. That's called Secrets, chapter 30.
Mm-hmm.
And she confronts Blackwell about it. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I did find it. And, she's like, how much is she's like, this is where I realized that that's your father. And he
Yeah.
was a specter. And he explains to her, like, a specter is someone who could disappear. He's like, I didn't think anything of it until you disappeared. And
Mm-hmm.
he tells her the story. So Gabriel White kept coming back to Phantasma. And what Blackwell always tried to help him because he was going to help him find the key and his heart and all of that stuff. But every time he came back, their bond got weaker and weaker. And he said Gabriel did not want to listen to me. Like, I tried to help him, he wouldn't listen. He was
Yeah.
stubborn. Kind of like her.
Mm.
You know,
What
apple doesn't
makes you
fall
think
far
what
from the
what
tree.
what what things are hereditary?
Yeah. Um, this is why it could be why he felt like a pull towards her because of her father. She wallows for a bit because she's just one of those that just
Yeah.
she gets stuff done, like she gets business done when it needs to be done. I mean, I guess I can relate to that because I will complain, but
Mm-hmm.
I'll get the job done. But she
Yeah.
just beats herself up a lot.
Yeah. She
She
does.
really does. Um, I put she wallows. They had a fight. He admits Gabriel's her father. She cries.
Sorry, Blackwell does say to her. I highlighted this. He says, the holes in my memory won't allow me to go that far back. All I know is that anytime I've gotten even remotely close to figuring things out here, he being Sinclair, intercedes and makes sure I fail.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I also put down on my notes, I was like, well, how did Genevieve find this out anyway? Like, how did you find that out? About Gabriel and all of them? Like, what?
Well, because at that point he knew that Tessie and Gabriel were together. Because remember, he talks
Yeah, but
about that.
Genevieve is the sister. How did she find that out?
No, I have no idea. Maybe she found like a journal or something with her mom. Like there
Mm.
has to be. I want to know that too. Um,
And then
then
we
we,
move into chapter 31.
which is level 4.
Mm-hmm. My notes are very simple. Would you ready?
Yep, go ahead.
My first note is Kate is a bitch. That is all. I don't remember what I read that made me write that.
If I remember correctly, he comes at her with his 2 friends.
Oh no, the thing they had to do. It was like a chess board.
Oh, okay. So you're ahead. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Um, she goes to the dining hall, of course.
Hmm.
Lucy tries to be nice to her, of course. She's a biachacha. That's what I put in the notes. She's the biachacha to her. And Jasper is the devil that is handling this one, and he calls Ophelia first.
Hmm.
And when he does, he winks at her and he's like, "Good luck," because he. This is when I'm like, okay, maybe he is a nice guy. That could be the naive, me being naive. So
Yeah.
whatever. We don't judge. What is the TikTok? We listen and we don't judge.
Mm.
So follow that, guys. Don't judge me. So like Colette was saying, this level they go onto a chessboard and everybody's in a spot and they have a chain and they're only allowed to move in certain directions. Now,
Hmm.
you could go backwards and get this key to get out, or you go forward.
Yeah.
Everybody picks forward. On this chessboard, again, you can only move forward, backward, or side to side, depending on where they let you move.
Hmm.
So, of course, Cade figures it out and gets to the thing. Now, when he gets to the whatever it is to
Board.
get out, the
Yeah, there's a
platform,
board with all of their names on it.
and you could either pick to help someone or make
Hmm.
it harder for them. Of course, he picks Ophelia to make it harder for
Yeah.
her. At that point, shit starts happening. There's like these blades that start
Yep.
swinging and all that stuff. People are trying to get, to do their thing. His little buddy, Eric, is like, "Oh, you demon bitch, come on."
Yeah.
And so tries to start fighting. She's like, "Oh my God, no, no, no."
And she, mind you,
And
she's just sitting there stuck this whole time, and and
again,
she still hasn't called Blackwell.
yep.
I hate it.
Finally, no, yes. Finally, she does.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Okay, you got to move this way." And he helps her,
Hmm.
and she figures it out. That's when Eric comes after her, and she's like, "I know what I'm gonna do," and she disappears. No, did she disappear?
Yep.
Yeah, she disappears, and then Eric goes to lunge at her, and when he does, the blade just comes and slices her. She gets up there, she hits Cade's name to
Yep.
make it, and then
Harder
she
for him.
leaves.
Yeah. Yeah. And then chapter 32. It's called Distraction. It's all you, Liz, because
Yeah, she makes it out, and so does Lucy. At this point, I'm really not trusting Lucy. Colette feels the same way. Um, she has a whole bunch of blood all over her because of what happened to Eric. She goes to take a bath and she calls Blackwell brown chicken, brown cow. We already know what happens. Then she's like, this is fun and everything, but you cannot be distracting me. This cannot happen anymore. Deuces.
wait,
No.
before that, he
Oh.
says the most sweetest thing to her.
Oh, see, I didn't
I
highlight
highlighted it.
it.
He says, I think you might be the closest to heaven I'll ever get.
He does say that.
Continue, Liz.
Then we go to chapter 33
Yep.
called Frivolous Fantasy.
Yeah. I put that Sinclair is highly invested in convincing Ophelia to take a deal with him and leave Blackwell behind. Um, and then we also learn why he doesn't like Blackwell.
We actually learn a lot in this chapter
Yeah.
about the games and Blackwell and Sinclair. So Sinclair is friends with the head devil's son. I'm
Yeah.
not even going to try to pronounce
The
the guy's
creator.
name, the creator of the games.
Yeah.
They got in trouble because of Blackwell.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were punished. The son has to stay within the game he created forever and ever and ever. And Sinclair is one of the only devils that is not allowed to leave as punishment. He's
Yeah.
like, oh, I thought everybody worked here on their own free will. He's like, nay, nay, I don't because of Blackwell's punk ass. I have
Correct.
to stay here forever. And then he continues to try to talk her into taking
Breaking that
his
bond.
offer.
Hmm.
And he's like, I could give you whatever you want. Watch, let me show you. Like a fairy godmother
Yeah.
transforms this room into the most beautiful ballroom ever.
Hmm.
She's in the most beautiful ball gown ever. And she's there and she's falling in love with this ballroom and
Yes.
starts. Go ahead.
I just want to point out this. He literally sweets her up right after the games. So remember, the games is all night. They have hauntings. Even if you get out of the games early, you have hauntings until the sun rises. So basically, from the sunrise to sunset, that is your free time to chill, do whatever. So most people sleep during that time, all that good stuff. He creates this whole fantasy. She's at a ball, she is dancing, and then eventually she's like, I feel like I've been here a really long time. It's time for me to go. And she called back Blackwell 3 times. He 3 times. He doesn't come. And she was like, "Did he leave me? Even though you told him he can't be distracting you." But I digress. Um, and so eventually, Blackwell does come and get her out of there. There was no ballroom. It was really just an illusion that he created.
And it just goes right into chapter 30. It's like all one
Yeah.
thing. Chapter 34 starts off right there where Blackwell shows up and he's trying
Yeah.
to get her. And he's like, hey, no, wake up. This is an illusion. You got to get up. You got to get up. The next level is about
It
to
was about to
start.
start. Yeah.
So she
She's
was
literally
there
late. She didn't even
24
get
hours.
the little thing that they give before you go into the level, the little
But
clue.
she does meet Raya, if I'm saying that correctly,
But
which
wait,
is an oh,
I just want to point out the reason he didn't come when she called is because Sinclair's illusion is more powerful than Blackwell. So he
and he
couldn't even
couldn't get
hear
in.
her calling him. He
And
couldn't
he
feel
couldn't get
her.
in, right?
Mm-mm. He literally started walking around the house looking for her in the mansion. Like, what? Where are you? He
Mm-hmm.
literally couldn't locate her. So he was walking everywhere and literally found her in the nick of time to start the next level. Because if she doesn't start the next level, she automatically forfeits.
Yep.
So she basically spent her whole day. She should have been sleeping or whatever. She didn't get none of that. She was her
None
whole
of
day
it.
just in a ball.
Um,
Yeah.
this is where we meet Rhea, which is one of the other devils that introduces the level, and
Mhm.
she knows that Blackwell and Ophelia have something going on. So
Uh-huh.
she's like, she hints at them sleeping together and that they're about to have fun while Ophelia's in the level and all that. Ophelia just files that away for later. But the voice does tease her about it. Like, did you see her body? They're gonna have so much fun. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So she goes into the board. She has no clues because, like Colette said, she missed them. She was late. She didn't get any
Mhm.
clues. She steps into this box and she refuses to call Blackwell now. So the one time that she does think about him right away, it's just to be like, no, I'm not calling him.
Yeah, because she mad.
Yeah. I mean, I get that. I would be mad too.
Mm,
No, he didn't do
mm.
anything.
I need you to go hunch whoever you got to hunch, but come save me. So I'm
Yeah.
calling you.
You're the one that told him he was a distraction, so
Yeah.
you did it to yourself. Um, in this box, she finally is able to, because she turns around, she doesn't see anything. Then she finally sees two chains. I put not the wrapper. So there's two chains, and one says forfeit and one says wrath. Of course, she picks wrath. When it opens up, everybody's basically on this platform, on this base, on this foundation, and they
Mhm.
see pedestals or yeah, right, pedestals on
Mhm.
the other side. Let's say, I don't remember the exact number. There's 8 contestants. There's only 7
There's only
pedestals.
7. Correct.
So somebody has to either die or forfeit.
Mhm.
Of course, Kate is like, oh, let's, kill
Let's
her,
kill
blah, blah, blah.
somebody.
Yeah. So he picks the weakest link, which is Edna. Now, Edna is the girl who screamed when her brother's mouth got erased from his
Yeah.
face. He almost kills her. Everybody's standing there until Ophelia's
Ophelia.
like, wait, 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 no, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. Cade takes the distraction time and runs to the pedestal. Because at this point, everybody had to pick. I forgot to say this. Everybody had to pick one person they wished wrath on.
Yep.
And it was Cade. Everybody picked Cade, even his little homeboy that was still alive. Bo,
Yep.
I think his name was, or whatever.
Yeah.
So he's like, well, I'm not dying, because that's who should have been taken
Right.
out, but it's Cade. So she saves Edna, and Edna forfeits, and
Yep.
everybody's able to get out of the level. And that's it. And then we go into chapter 35 is when everybody makes it to the pedestal and the round is over. At this point, they're back in the dining hall, and her and Lucy are talking. Lucy leaves and she stays because she feels Sinclair's presence. Ew.
Mm-hmm.
And all he does is stir the pot again. Oh, you're looking for Blackwell? He's not here. He's with Rhea. He's just stirring the pot. Nothing crazy. Yeah. And then Jasper shows up. Sinclair leaves. Jasper then stirs the pot. And I'm like, sir, I was just giving you kudos, okay? But he stirs the pot a little bit. But he's more playful about it.
Yeah. He's teasing.
He's teasing. He's not,
Yeah.
And then from there, she goes into her room and she starts taking a bath. And she's underwater. I put that she's trying to drown herself, but that's not really what she was trying to do. But she goes underwater and Blackwell shows up. She lets him know, because she's going through all the stuff that's happened, the illusion with Sinclair, everything. Mm-hmm. And she lets him know, I called you and I called you and I called you and you never came. And he was like, I couldn't get to you. I'm so sorry. And he then bathes her, washes her hair and everything. He bathes her and explains his relationship with Rhea, that they did have a very purely physical relationship, but they're just friends now, and it's not like that. And it was forever for them, decades ago, centuries ago, whatever. So we're going to start off with chapter 36.
Hey, classes.
There's some brown chicken, brown cow going on.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And as that's happening, Jasper just pops into the room like, no
hey,
knock.
Y'all.
Yeah, no knock, nothing. And he comes in at a point where they're very intimate. Jasper's about to say that he loves her. Like, you not just Jasper. Know. Not Blackwell. Jasper. Blackwell is about to say that he loves her.
Yeah. At least that's what we Jasper think. He says, what's her name? Ophelia. And then Jasper pops up. So we all know.
Yeah. We know. And immediately Blackwell was not, I don't think he was surprised that Jasper showed up. Like, I think he was caught off guard, but he knew that Jasper was going to, because after Blackwell dresses them, he lets Jasper know that he's early. So so Blackwell,
he's not surprised.
Yeah. Okay. So Blackwell's not surprised that Jasper's there, even tells him that he's early. Ophelia at this point is confused and is like, what is going on? That's when Jasper steps in and he's like, oh, your little boo thing made a whole deal with me to find out what happened to your parents.
Excuse me.
And what Blackwell did is he traded 3 years of memories so that they could find out what happened to Ophelia's parents. Now, my thoughts on this is, what if Jasper takes his memories from now? Like the memories that he's creating.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. I was like, and of course we haven't finished the book yet, but I was like, I feel like he's going to take the memories where he forgets her and she leaves the house, and they probably find each other back after that. But I feel like when she leaves the house, he's going to forget her.
But that is also why he probably has all those memories, those memory lapses, those holes in his memory. Is trading
Yeah.
trying to figure out how to get out of there. Um, at this point, Blackwell's already dressed himself and Ophelia, as he
Mm.
always does. That's a gift, okay? If my man could just be like, and
Right.
I'm dressed to the nines, hair
Mm.
done,
Right.
everything. Never mind. um, so then they go to a place that's more private, which is the drinking parlor
The
where
parlor,
she
yeah.
got drunk
Hmm.
before. And there he goes and he asks if they want the good or the bad first.
Hmm.
And
Excuse me.
they go with the bad first. And this the bad news is just her parents got cursed because they fell in love in Phantasma.
Hmm.
Okay. The good news is that she was born.
She was conceived
Yeah.
in
She was
Phantasma.
conceived. Yeah. So at that point, Ophelia's like in her emotions about everything. Wait, no.
Yes.
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 She's in her emotions about everything. And she's like, I'm not going to repeat history. And he goes further into the curse. So the curse caused her dad to become so obsessed with
Hmm.
her mother, but then gave her
It
mom,
reversed the mother. Yeah.
yeah, gave her mom apathy towards
Yep.
the father, meaning she's not going to like him. As each day passes, she's just
Correct.
could care less about him.
Hmm.
So, and that's it. Like, it just, she's like, I'm not repeating the same thing. And she disappears. Now, when they got interrupted, Blackwell promised her that they were going to go back and finish what they didn't get to finish because Jasper showed up.
Hmm.
She's like, F that. I'm not repeating history. I'm not going to do, I'm my own person. I'm not going to do this. And she leaves and falls.
But she also says, I'm not going to repeat history by falling in love.
She's already in love.
Yes. But I just want to point out she says it out loud. And Jasper, the whole time she was having a meltdown, Jasper was like, my God, can I go? I don't want to be here. And then when she
I
says,
love
I'm not going to
Jasper.
repeat history by falling in love, he was like, you in love? You falling in love? Jasper is Jasper is us when you getting tea. It's hold on, girl. What'd you
No,
say?
Jasper. I really do like Jasper.
This character is funny.
Yes. I was like, imagine in one of the, like, I want to see him interact with John Vieve.
Yeah.
I think it would be funny. So, and that ends chapter 36. It was
Hmm.
very simple to the point.
Hmm.
So, and then we go into chapter 37.
That's you. Go ahead.
36? 37.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Okay. So in chapter 37, she is falling through the whispering gate again. And she
Hmm.
hears all the voices and she's like, okay, like I hear this one specific voice that's calling to me and I know it and I know it. And it ends up being her mom. So she finds her mom in the whispering gate and they're able to talk.
Hmm.
She tells her mom everything and then she starts asking her mom. And her mom starts telling her stuff. Her mom does tell her to stay away from Blackwell.
Hmm.
And when her mom says that, the locket starts to beat. I honestly think, well, we'll go to that.
Yeah.
And at this point, she asks her mom where the locket came from. And she's like, it's been in our family for generations. And when she's going to ask her why they have to leave,
Excuse me.
their connection ends.
Yeah.
So her mom just says, apologizes for everything. They have a great talk. It's great,
Yeah.
wonderful. They have, you know,
Yeah.
apologies and all that good stuff. But she never gets to find out what the locket is.
Excuse me.
Are you okay? You should take a sip of your coffee. Moisten those vocal cords. It's okay. Do I need to call Mike? Look
Mike at
at
work.
your cup. It's so
It's so
pretty.
pretty.
That's a bookish
Egyptian
cup,
crimson
y'all.
moth, y'all. I got this in my
Which
favorite.
is also the Heartless Hunter, right?
Uh-huh.
Such a cute mug.
But I wasn't a setup. I really was choking. All right, I'm back. Go ahead.
So at this point, she just falls through the floor again, and that's it. Her connection with
He's
her
sitting there
mom.
with his hands out like, I got you. And she was like, did
Yeah,
you know? And he was like, I had an idea.
yeah. It just goes right into 38. You know, one thing I can say about I do enjoy the shorter chapters.
Yes.
They're not forever long.
Yes. I agree.
So far, I'm really liking her writing, like how
I agree.
she's writing everything. Um, so that takes us into chapter 38.
Mm-hmm.
And she falls through the floor, like Colette said, lands in his arms. She's like, oh, you knew? He's like, I had an idea. Great. Wonderful. At this point, she's like, I'm my own person. I can control my feelings. I can control what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need anybody to. It's my turn. So she's with Blackwell, and he's like, well, now I'm the one that we're not going to do this.
Yep.
I'm not. You heard what he said. You would be cursed. I'm not doing it. We're just business partners. So, of course, she gets in her feelings, as she should.
Right.
Like, I
Reduce
support
me to
her.
a business partner? Excuse me?
She's like, oh, I'm a business partner now, so you could call me Miss Grimm. And he's like, and you could call me whenever you need me. She's like,
And he leaves.
And
Punk
he
ass.
leaves But she says she goes to her room and she falls asleep or tries to. And when she wakes up, like she sleeps all through. When she wakes up, she says there's this familiar static.
Which is Blackwell.
Is it?
Yeah.
Are you
Every
sure?
time she says, yeah, every time she says he's around, there's a static. And
Mm.
remember, he doesn't always have to be corporeal. Sometimes he's just like in his little ghost state. So
I was thinking maybe it was the game master.
because we'll get into it, but I'll
Yeah.
explain why.
Yeah. And that ends chapter 38. Again, these chapters are quick,
Quick.
to the point.
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. I am too. And that takes us into chapter 39.
Which is a sentence. Jesus wept. And then the next one.
Yeah.
It just basically says she slept her day away.
Oh no, chapter 39 was the 7th day in Phantasma.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
So that takes us into chapter 39, which is called Something Forbidden. At this point, she's been looking for the key for what she needs to do to help Blackwell with no avail. She can't find anything. She's very blah, as any of us would be if we just had our little baby heart broken, even though we said our baby heart was not involved in feelings or anything.
Right.
So she runs into Sinclair. And he's like, oh, so
Let me get that, girl.
yeah. He's like, so you're not with Blackwell. I heard
I
that
can show
there's
you how I can do it better. Like he one of them type dudes.
Yes. And she lets him try.
Yep.
She's like,
go ahead.
kiss me, touch me. And he kisses her and he touches her. And she doesn't feel anything.
Yeah, so he's kissing her, touching her, and she says it's dull. And excuse me. And then he fingers her, and I'm like, ugh, God, he probably has rabies. Don't do that. And then she's like, oh, stop, get off me. And he backs up. I'd like to say, I can appreciate the fact that even though you're a devil, a lot of these devils are very much big on consent. I like that. Thank you so
Well,
much.
going a little bit off the book, remember that everything's written by the victors.
Hmm.
So, for instance, you know a girl who broke up with her man. She's going to say anything and everything bad about him.
Hmm.
So, who's
Yeah.
to say they don't have their own set of morals, you know?
Well, he
Which
says that too.
this book portrays that. Like
Because even Jasper, when to go back a little bit, even Jasper, when she was like, "Well, is it good or bad?" Because he asked her, "Do you want to know the good?" Or I found out information about your parents, and she was like, "Is it good or bad?" And he was like, "I don't keep having to tell you I'm a devil. Our sense of morality is different than from your sense of morality."
Mhm.
And I was like, "That's a solid statement." Because if you're looking at it like a job, you're just
And
doing
it
your
just
job.
shows consciousness,
Right.
awareness of
Right.
like, hey, I know that this might not be bad for me, but I know
Mhm.
it'll probably hurt you.
Right.
So it shows some
Yeah.
humanity in him. And in Sinclair right now, because he does
Yes.
back away. And he was
Immediately.
like, and then
But
Rhea
he
shows
still
up.
wants to use it, and he's like, "I'm gonna let Blackwell know."
Yep. And then that other chick that Blackwell used to
Yeah.
mess with shows up, and
Hmm.
she's like, "Ooh, I can't wait to tell him so I can comfort
I'm
him."
gonna see him
Oh,
later.
oh.
My girl. Right. And she was like, "But I have to say, I understand. There's something about Blackwell's touch." I was like, "Girl,
Yep.
girl." I do like
Yep.
that she put in there. She was like, "I'm not gonna let you bother me," because I was like, "I'm bothered. Fight her."
I thought of you instantly because Colette. Whenever I'm trying to annoy Colette, sometimes she's in the mood that she just doesn't want to deal with me in that sense. Like, she's like, I'm not going to let you get to me, Liz.
I refuse.
So when she read that, I was like, oh, look at her being like Colette. Yeah. So Rhea stirs the pot. Sinclair is handing her the
The
ladle to stir
spoon.
the pot. Like, and Ophelia is now in her feelings
Yeah.
because she's like, what did I do? But wait,
We're not together.
yeah. But
Hmm.
wait, I love him. No, I don't love him.
Hmm.
She doesn't admit that she loves him yet. This is
Correct.
just us going on our perceptions of what we've read.
Hmm.
Then it goes into chapter 40. At this point, she goes to the dining hall to eat. Nobody's there. It's the first real meal that she's had.
Yeah.
Here is where we have four more people
No.
left. So it's five total.
No. There's 7 people total.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Okay. People get cleared out now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're
Yeah,
right.
there's 7 because they go in and she says that the demon that comes, the devil that comes, doesn't even introduce themselves. She's like, "This is what you need to do. Goodbye."
And in this one, so she's the only one that eats. She says everybody else looks shaken because they've been dealing with their haunts. This
Hmm.
proves that Blackwell is still helping her because
Yep.
he's clearing the haunts for her.
Yep.
So she's calm, she's good. They go through the door. Of course, she's the last one to be called.
Hmm.
When she goes in, they're sitting at a table.
And her first thought, 'cause I have to bring it up every single time, is I should call Blackwell. And then she was like, "No, I can figure it out by myself." No, you
But
can't,
she
Farrah.
did figure this one out by herself.
She did. I don't care. She's still Farrah. Call him. Foolishness. But continue.
So they're at this table. They're at this table, and everybody is chained to the table.
Hmm.
Their hands are chained to the table, and they have buttons in front of them. She goes invisible, takes her hands out. She gets disgusted looks from people.
Yeah.
I don't care. You ain't about to shackle me to this
Yeah.
table.
And it's basically
And
a game of true or false.
yep, but some people have extra buttons because in the previous game where
Hmm.
they could pull levers down to make it harder for someone,
Hmm. Sabotage
they
or
did
save.
they did not neutralize that.
Yeah.
Whereas to Cade, punk ass, Cade and
Ophelia.
Ophelia did
Mhm.
neutralize theirs, so they're just regular true or false.
Right.
And then there's a little prick that they have to prick their finger so that
Mhm.
the blood, because the riddle said that the blood will tell the truth or whatever.
Right. And it
So
asked them the question. I'm assuming the way it's written, I'm assuming the person that the question is directed to is the person that has to read it. No one else can see.
yeah,
So
that's
I would have lied. But
I took it like it was just showing up and anybody could see it. Like I didn't think that.
mm,
Yeah, but anyways, um, so hers was so when she's sitting there, these pillars come from the ceiling,
mm-hmm,
and under everybody has their own pillar. Hers comes down a foot lower than everybody else's. So these
mm-hmm,
pillars are gonna come down and smash people. Hers comes down a little bit lower. I thought
mm-hmm.
right there they're trying to sabotage her, but no,
That's what I
that just
thought.
let her know. Yeah, they just let her know that she's the first one to go. So she pricks
Yeah.
her finger, and then her question is if she fell in love
Mm-mm.
or if she's
She's
kissed.
sleeping with a demon. Yeah, kiss a demon.
If she kissed a demon,
Yeah.
and everybody's like looking at her and they don't know, and she's they some of them said yes, and then when it went to Lucy, Lucy was
Mm-hmm,
gonna say no. She's like, no, 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 I did.
mm-hmm.
So then she hits truth, and then the pillar goes back up, and she's fine. Then it goes through the people. One of them has a random button, and that causes
Yeah.
him to get the wrong answer. Smushed, gone, dead.
Yep.
Then it goes to Cade.
Punk.
Well, it was Cade's question that got him killed. So Cade's
Mm-hmm,
comes up, and they're like, "Oh, did you kill your sister's husband?" And Lucy's like, "Well, I was in the car. The guy was definitely my
mm-hmm.
sister was definitely driving. My cousin, because it was
Yeah.
Cade's sister. She was definitely driving. The other guy was in the seat. So they all voted, but the guy had random, and when he hit the button, it chose the wrong button, and he died.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, the next question was Lucy's, and the question
That was
was,
heartbreaking.
yes, I know, me too, for me too. It asked her if she's in love
With
with
Leon.
Leon, and that's the question that killed somebody else, right?
Mm-mm.
Well, she is in love with him.
Mm-hmm.
Leon gets mad because he's
Yeah.
like, no, we said we would stop if there were feelings. She's heartbroken
And starts crying.
and starts crying, but she's saved. She doesn't die. Then
Right.
Leon's question is true or false? Leon is not in love with Lucy,
And he's not.
and he's not.
Ugh.
And
And she starts
I
crying more, and
forgot
I'm
how
like,
the other
oh,
person
Lucy.
died, but two people get smushed.
Well, no, there's 7 people, 2 people die, 5 people leave, and then
Lucy goes home.
Lucy
She
leaves because
forfeits.
when she gets back into the what's it called, dining room, she's
Hmm.
like, "You're not in love with me." He was like, "Well, we talked about it," being a little punk, and then she was like, "F that, I'm done. Let me go
Yep.
ahead. Let me leave out of here." So the demon comes and takes her out, and then that leaves 4.
Oh, and she's cursed.
Correct. He
She's
tried to
cursed.
touch her and he burns himself every
Mm-hmm.
time he tries to touch her. So
Mm-hmm.
trash. And then Leon leaves the next night because his biggest fear was being attacked by crows and he couldn't take it. So that left 3, which was
And
Charlotte, Cade, and Ophelia.
yeah, and Cade actually showed some type of caring emotion towards
Yeah.
Lucy when like he was upset that Lucy got hurt by that.
Yeah.
And but he turned into his dickhead self.
Right.
So then we go into the next chapter, which is just the one sentence. What was the sentence? Hold on, I have it here.
Jesus wept.
Yeah, she just wept. She went in her room and she wept and wept and wept and wept and wept.
And then the next, no. No, no, no. That was back before that. She cried after the fact, after he had left. The next chapter is she goes into the room and she says she feels static as soon as she goes into the room. And he was like, "You let him touch you?" That was Blackwell. And he was tight.
She does call him out. She's like, this hot and cold you do. Like, 1 minute you love me, 1 minute you don't. She called him out on that. He is, and then he just goes on about how he's upset. He doesn't want anybody else touching her but himself.
Yes. And then he says, I highlighted it. In a different life, in a fair one, I would have kept you until my eternal soul withered away to dust.
You know,
My husband don't talk to me like that. We gonna have to talk, Mike.
neither does mine. Neither does mine. It's okay.
I need you to turn into a British poet because you're not saying the things you're supposed to be saying.
She lets him know that his touch meant nothing and all that. After he said his little line that Colette just read, poof, gone. End of chapter.
Yeah.
That's when the next chapter, look, it says.
Yeah, Jesus wept.
Mm-hmm.
Sorrow.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And then we go into chapter 43.
Mm-hmm. Which is the next, whatchamacallit?
Yeah, the
level.
next okay, and in this level, let's just keep it short and sweet. In this level, she goes into the same little room as the one with the
in this level, before she even goes in there, she goes into the dining room. Blackwell comes, but not in a corporeal form, and he was like, "Hey, girl, don't respond, so people don't know you're talking to me."
mm-hmm.
She nods, and he says, "As soon as you get in there, call me."
Because
she nods. He's like, "I'm not playing with you. I will beat you."
He did not say that.
That's how it happened in my mind. Continue, Liz.
Okay, so after he's like, "Make sure you call me because there's no way you're gonna need me." Right. And he does let her know that their bond is getting weaker, mm-hmm. and the levels are only going to get harder and harder and harder as they go. So when she finally walks into this challenge, she's in the same room that had the levers before, where she had to pick sabotage or
stones.
The stones?
Yeah, there were stones.
Oh, okay. The levers were on the outside to neutral. Okay. So she has to pick what?
If one person picks, if all three picks, all three gets to walk and they're safe. If two people pick something, they have to duel it out. The other person is safe.
Yes. So she calls Blackwell right away. Yeah. Right away. And he's like, okay, give me a minute. I need to go see what they picked.
Right.
So he goes and he comes back. He's like, Charlotte picked Cade, but Cade picked both of you guys. So she's like, well, I'm not gonna I'll handle Cade. So she picks Cade, and Charlotte gets to go free.
Correct.
And she F's him up.
This
brought me so much joy.
For my Game of Thrones fans, if this is what Joffrey had gotten,
I would have been happy.
Yes. This was Joffrey-esque.
Mm-hmm. He's so excited to fight her. Mm-hmm. She uses her magic on him. They do scuffle. He does get, his things in, but she
licks in. Yeah.
She kills him. Or can I say that?
She deletes him. Yeah. And then while she's fighting, her little shadow voice is like, "Do it slow. Take your time. Gouge out his eyes." Like he's all into it.
Yep.
And so she kills him and she walks out. And then when she walks out, she said, "This is not the same."
Mm-hmm. Everything's dark.
Everything's dark. The food has turned into like maggots. There's dead birds all over the place. She goes onto the hallway. The hallway is pitch black. And then she says she feels a presence. And he says, "Hello, Clarice."
Yep. This went, it just flows right into chapter 44. And it was basically, yes.
I promise you, he said, "Hello, Clarice." That's how tell me that didn't fit the scene.
I thought like a Saw scene, like from the movie Saw, how it's just like dark and cringy, and
but the introduction when she feels the presence and he finally says, "Hey, girl, hey," It was a hello Clarice moment for me.
Now, I instantly thought that this was one of her hauntings.
I did not. I thought I fell for the okie doke because
At first.
she had previously stated she still hadn't been attacked by her worst fear yet,
And it
and
just that's the
and
only
that
reason
quickly flew out of my mind.
I would have never thought that this was a haunting if it wasn't for that little nugget
Yeah,
of it. But
and mind you, I
but
read it and I saw it, but it just flew out of my mind. I fell for the
but
okie doke. I was like,
even knowing that, I was like, no, wait. Like as it went on, I was like,
mhm,
no, this isn't because so he chases her. Or she's
mhm.
chasing him.
Yeah, she's chasing
And
him.
he goes down this corridor and there's three doors.
See, when she started chasing him though, that's when I thought it was kind of like the last one. Remember when she was chasing the what do you call it? The thing that said it was her sister. I was like, did she
Mhm.
fall for that again? Is this another poltergeist?
Yes, she fell for it again. But
So
it's when she got to the doors that I was like, okay, this is not a haunting.
yeah.
And so she picks a door according to the locket's reaction.
Hmm.
And when she goes in, it's full of mirrors, and each mirror shows her in a different way.
Side
Um,
note, just because you said she picks a door to because of her Locket's reaction, two things
oh
we
yeah,
forgot.
we
One,
missed
in one
that.
of the trials when it had to do the true or false, she
Hmm.
didn't know what to pick for Cade. And so when she went to go pick one, the locket was cold, and when she went to go pick another, the locket was getting hot. So she knew that was the right choice. And when she fought Cade, he snatched the locket off of her.
And her heart started going slower, and like she
Yes,
was
like
dying.
she was dying.
And then she set it up for Cade to run to her to
Hmm.
attack her, and then she went invisible at the
And
same
grabbed her
time that
locket.
she grabbed the locket, so the
Yeah.
locket went invisible with her, and then she put it back on, and she was fine. So we totally forgot about that. I totally forgot. I'm sorry. So when she's in this room with all the mirrors, each mirror shows her in an exaggerated one has like I thought of the Joker smile, like that sinister like
I thought of that one movie where they went to Mexico and played this game and it had this little crazy smile on their face. You
no
remember
idea.
that? Okay,
No.
never mind.
But so you guys get the gist of it.
Yeah.
It's a freaky smile, like each mirror. And while she's there, she gets in a scuffle with the shadow. And the shadow's like, you did this. By you killing someone, you unleashed me from your mind. This is,
Hmm.
and then when he said this was your biggest fear, that's when I was like, oh, this is a haunting. Like I went back
Yeah.
to that. It is a haunting. Um, One thing that made me think it wasn't a haunting is that she kept calling Blackwell and he would not show up. So I was
Yeah.
like, this isn't a haunting because if it was, he would have showed up, taken care of it, and boom.
Yeah.
But she kept calling him. And in that, she realized that every time she said his name, the voice would get weaker and weaker and weaker. And that's how she was able to defeat it.
I
And
just like to say I
Blackwell,
pointed that out in the beginning. I kept saying every time Blackwell comes around, the voice just disappears.
yeah. And then,
So I wonder if the voice, I don't think it's an entity. I feel like that's, what do you call it? Your intrusive thoughts. I think her intrusive thoughts are just super loud.
you think so? I think there's more to that.
You think so?
Because her
Because I'm
mom
just
knew
like
about the
every time he
voice.
comes around, he retreats, and I'm just like, so is this like a
Maybe
therapist?
he's like a seed of hate, or like a seed of like just like a bad seed or
Mhm.
something. Like I don't know how to. In my
Yeah,
head, it
no, I
makes.
got you.
But when Blackwell shows up, he sees that she's actually fighting herself, and confirms that this was probably her biggest fear. He's like,
Yes.
"What fear did you give him?"
And not only that, the reason, if you recall, she keeps calling Blackwell, and he didn't come quick enough. But remember, he says that every time she gets hurt, the bond weakens. So she's fighting herself. She tore out a piece of her skin. She's carving into her stomach, like she is cutting herself up. So
Mhm.
obviously she's weakening herself, and she had just got out of that fight with Cade, so she's already weakened before. So
But
it's
another thing we forgot
mhm,
when she finally kills Cade, that she puts, because she puts her hand on his face.
Mm-hmm.
She absorbed
Absorbs his
his life
energy or something.
force.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it made her stronger at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And he called her, I don't know if it means anything, Hairbringer of Death.
Harbinger. But yeah.
Harbinger? Harbinger of Death. At
Yeah.
this point, I was reading so fast because I'm like, um, yeah, so
Yeah, I saw that too. I was like, so is she not fully human?
no. Well, we know she's not because she's
No, I
Spectre.
mean, like, is there more to her ancestry? Because we know the dad is a specter and her mother is a necromancer, but they're still both human. So I was like, is there
No,
something
and
else?
there's something like, why does she need the locket for her heart to beat?
Yes. So
Like, do
there's
they
something
give
else.
up their mortality to be able to be
A necromancer?
necromancers? Not their mortality, but their life force. I don't know.
Maybe.
Anyway,
You're right, because remember she had to take the locket off of her mom and then do the little spell thing. So maybe
yeah,
it's intertwined with that. I don't know.
yeah. And she
But yeah.
doesn't know because her mom was killed ahead of time. Her
Mm-hmm.
mom didn't get to tell her everything.
And then when
So,
they were in the whispering gate, her mama ain't tell her shit.
no, they just talked about family drama.
Yeah. And I always loved you. I don't need that right now. I'm gonna die. What does this mean?
Hairbringer, harbinger, hairbringer.
So yeah. So then he's like, what was your fear? She tells him, and then he was like, I didn't hear you when you called me, but I felt that you needed me. He was like, I've never felt that before. Like he
Mm-hmm.
was like, I knew you were in trouble. So I came looking. And she was like, I don't want to be away from you. And he's like, I don't want to be away from you either. And then there was the Dawson's Creek's theme song came in and they left together. I don't want to wait for life to be over. Do 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 do.
We just need Colette to do soundtracks for the books.
Please continue. Wait, was that 45?
No, that was 44.
44. Okay. 45, they get busy.
Well, 40, we went into 45 because that's when Blackwell is there and all of that stuff. And she does tell him her biggest fear was not the shadow voice. It was her giving into the shadow voice and hurting herself. And that's exactly what she lived out in that haunt. Yeah. So they make up. And while they're making up, John Viev.
We're going into the, nope.
What?
We'll follow up because that's actually 47.
Is it? No. She walks in and then that's it.
Oh, you're right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because this author definitely likes people to walk in at the end of the chapter.
Cliffhangers. Yeah, so this is the second time they're interrupted. Like, can you let me finish? Figuratively and literally, because you bugging. Thank you.
Yeah. Because I don't even think they got to finish this time around either. They didn't get to finish and Jasper interrupted them.
Yeah.
John Vieve just interrupted, and then that's it. And then we go into chapter 46.
We have finished Phantasma. Elizabeth, would you like to go ahead and let the people know what happened?
So we weren't going to do this for another week.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm always late to everything. So I was like, you know what? Let me get prepared. Let me read my chapters. And I got to a part that I was like, ah!
And all I see is a text, Colette. I'm like, what happened?
Mm-hmm. This book, y'all. So we finished it today.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit ago.
Mm-hmm.
This book, y'all. So we left off on chapter 45.
Mm-hmm.
In chapter 46, Ophelia and John V.A. Go ahead, say it.
Genevieve.
Oh, I was going to say it right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. we left off where she came into the room in the middle of them doing the brown chicken, brown cow.
Right.
So this is where we start off, right there, where she came, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, John Viet." She's like, "Ophelia, Ophi."
You harlot.
Yeah, not really, but you know.
She was very proud of her, actually.
Yeah. So then we get into the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So then we get into the conversation, and she's like, "How did you find me?" "Oh, this one demon told me where to find you. He said I look like one of the contestants and where I could find the contestants."
Mm-hmm.
Sinclair was his name. She confirms that it's Sinclair, and they're like, "Oh, stay away." So Ophelia introduces Blackwell to John Vieve.
Mm-hmm.
Then he gives them privacy to go over what they're talking about, everything that's happened, and they do. She's like, "I can't believe, you're here. Why did you follow me?" She's like, "What are you talking about? Why did I follow you? You just disappeared. You could have left me a note." She's like, "Wait, how did you even know where to find me?" And Ophi's like, "Oh, well,
I might have went through your things.
yeah, I went through your journal, saw everything." She's like, "Oh my God." Then they cover everything, how they talk to the mom and they change story. She's like, Ophelia's like, "I thought you had a whole different life without me." She's like, "No, I just didn't want you to feel bad about
Mm-hmm.
me living a normal life when you couldn't because you had to carry on the family tradition." And everything's great.
Yeah.
Everything's wonderful. They found each other. And that's basically chapter 46 is them catching up. And
Yeah.
then John Vieve apologizes for doing it in a way that gets Ophelia into this situation. Then we go into chapter 47.
Mm-hmm.
And in chapter 47, it's the next level, which is level 8.
Yes.
Remember, there's 9 levels. Once she got to level 7, they were able to see each other. Now
Mm-hmm.
they're in level 8. And um it starts off they're still talking to each other, everything's fine. Blackwell comes in and they start talking about John Vieve being there, and he's like, "Well, both of you guys can't win,
Right.
and the next levels they're really going to push you guys, da da da." So basically they talk John Vieve into forfeiting,
And forfeiting. Yep.
and she's like, "Okay, fine, I'll do it. I'll go home. I love you, Ophi."
Okay.
And this all happened because Sinclair showed up at the room and he's like, "Oh, you found her."
Right.
And Ophelia and Blackwell both were like, if he's excited about them finding each other, it's because there's something, he has something
Up
under
his
his
sleeve.
sleeve. Like
Yep.
up his sleeve, up his
Mm-hmm.
sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
My Spanish come out and mixing up sayings, but whatever. So they didn't trust that, and that confirmed that John Vieve should forfeit. So she
Right.
did. She goes to the next level. She sees everybody that's there. I believe there's only
6 total
6 contestants. Yeah.
left.
6 contestants left. It would
Yeah.
have been 7 with John Vieve, but she's out of the
Right.
question. Blah, blah, blah. We also find out, I don't know if we covered this, but we also find out that their father
Is the reason.
is the reason their mom passed away,
Mm-hmm.
because they were tied, if I remember correctly.
Mm-mm. It's because of this level. So in this level 8.
Oh yes, thank you,
Mm-hmm.
thank you, thank you. Go ahead, go ahead.
So this level 8 is some. I can't remember.
No,
But
it's
essentially
when.
she has 2 Jean Vieves in the room with her when she goes in.
Mm-hmm.
The you remember when they go through the door, they always have a little clue. It just says choose wisely.
And this
That's
is
the only clue.
Sinclair's level. This
Yes.
is Sinclair's level. So
Yeah. So she goes in, two Genevieves come in, and she has to figure out which one is the real one. Blackwell comes. It takes them 10 minutes for Blackwell to come because
Their bond is weaker now.
yeah, yeah, poor little Tank. And so she was like, for 10 minutes, they sit there arguing, and I'm like, I don't know who to pick. And he was like, you have to pick the right one. If not, then the real Genevieve in the real world will die. And so she was like, wait, how long does it take for you to shut down Phantasma and go to the next city? He was like, 24, 48 hours. No, 48, 72 hours. And she was like, that's why my mama died. Because her dad had chosen the wrong one. It always
At
picks
this
someone
level.
that you love. And you're supposed to love that person enough to know the difference between a false person and the real person.
Mm-hmm.
So, poor little Tank.
Yep.
Poor little Tank.
So,
And she had a whole breakdown.
mm-hmm. Right then, he's there for her, of course.
Yeah. And then the
And
sister's like, what's wrong? He's like, back up. Mind your business. It's all just mind your business. And
he's amazing. So
Blackwell.
he she asks the Genevieve's questions to see if they
Right.
answer it correctly. And he's like, wait, you can't ask them something that you have a memory of. You
Right.
need to ask them something that only they will know, and you'll be able to tell if it's true or not.
Right.
So she says, how many guys have you kissed?
Yep.
One of them said 11, and the
And
other
the
one,
other one says 30. She was like, I'm not
yeah,
sure, but if I had to guess, it'd be like 30.
yeah. And from there, Ophelia is like, wait a minute, I know my sister.
Mm-hmm.
And she wouldn't have said some random number like, oh, I think it's 30.
Yeah.
Because she remembers she's read her diaries.
Yep. And she
So
said she
she's
wrote
like,
about the most random stuff. She's like, I saw this bird today. I saw a
yeah.
snail cross the sidewalk. She's like, no, she's too detail oriented to not know.
And then the other one had said 11.
Mm-hmm.
But what was it that the other one that gave it away?
They both basically said the same thing. The other one was like, I don't know, I would say 30. And then the other girl was like, it would never be that much. But if I have to give you a number, it would be 11.
Yeah. So right
Whereas
then,
Genevieve has always been a, it's in your face. Who are you talking about? I slept with this dude. Like, she's very forthcoming. So the fact that you don't know or you're trying to hide your number, no.
and that makes her say that it's neither one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And which is weird. That's not supposed to happen because even Blackwell's like, oh,
Yeah.
wow. So she wins that level.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as she gets out, she's like, F y'all. I'm going to win
I'm
this shit
done.
right now. Go ahead, Colette.
And so he was like, you're going to create the door for the Whispering Gate. And Sinclair is like, you can't do that. You have to call him. He has to invoke that. You can't just create a gate. And he was like, well, she does it all the time. She's done it before. And he was like, no. So she creates the door and she goes to open it and it doesn't open. And he's like, well, what's happening? And he was like, you said that he told you the name. You can only open the door if you know his name. So because Sinclair, little Chatty McChatterson, told the name, she knows the name. So she opens the door, she goes in there. She says she could have been waiting for minutes, hours, days. She doesn't know. She just knows she's waiting. And she was like, I wonder if I call Blackwell if he'll come in here. So she says, Blackwell, because, he's Beetlejuice. And lo and behold, Blackwell is Salamastris. I don't know how to say that man's name.
I thought I just said Salamastro. Salamaestro.
But you can call him Salem.
Yep. He says, my name is Salamaestro Uranus.
Yeah,
Some
Aramis,
crap.
something, child.
Blackwell.
Blackwell. Yep.
The Prince of Devils.
Yes. He's the Prince of Devils, and he doesn't know anything until they get to the final, what do you call it? Yeah. When they get to speak to the Prince of Devils to make the wish. That's the only time his memories are intact. When he's outside of it doing the Phantasma, he don't remember nothing. So she's just like,
sorry, guys.
So
Go.
she's just like, he was like, no, she says that she wants to save his life. That's what she wants to use her winning for, her winning thing. And he was like, but you didn't win. You came after level 8. So what I can do is take half of those 10 years you said you were going to give me and you can go. And she was like, no, you played me. We're going to figure this out. And she's like, I can't be upset because you honestly didn't remember. You didn't know. And he was like, yeah. He was like, I met you outside of the house and I couldn't even remember that. So when you said you met me, I was like, what are you talking about? I've never met you.
Mm-hmm.
But him in that form as the Prince of Devils, when he's in his full mind, he remembers that he met her outside of the house.
Yep.
And he was like, I felt tethered to you, which is why I asked you, or no, told you how you can save me. He was like, because you're the only person that ever asked, how can I save you? I was like, this is such a Rasan moment. Rasan moment. Let me tell you why the correlation. In book 1 of Akatar, if you have not read Akatar, spoilers, Rasan is love of everybody's life. Okay, great. So in book 1, Rasan sees Farah at the Kalamai, which is like an orgy party for fairies in the spring court. That's the simplest way to
Yeah.
put it. Okay. At this point, she loves Tamlin. Anyway, so Rysand is he sees her at the Callan mine. He said, "There you are. I found you." Farah has no idea what that means. Nobody in the book world knows what that means. Everybody like, who the hell are you? Until we get to book 2, and he explains to her that he would have visions of her when she was still a human, before she became Fae, before she even met Tamlin, and he used to send her visions and she would paint them. And it would be of the night sky because everybody knows Valaris in the night sky. And so this is the kind of the same thing with Blackwell and I want to say Tessie, but Tessie is her mom, and Ophelia. He was like, I knew when I met you, there was something about you that drew me to you, but I didn't know what it was. And I was just like, ugh. I thought that was the sweetest thing. And then we find out the reason because it gives us the backstory. Let's go.
Okay. So the next chapter, we go back 500 years.
Mm-hmm.
And in this chapter, we see everything that's happened to get everything to where it's at present day.
Mm-hmm.
We know Blackwell's the Prince of Devils.
Mm-hmm.
He basically left his station, left
Yeah.
what he was supposed to do for a human girl that he fell in love with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing her name is Angel because he kept calling her Angel and it was a big A.
Yeah.
Like when he wouldn't
Oh,
say, yeah, he
I
wouldn't
didn't
say
even know
her
that.
name. Yeah. So then he has a lot of power and his dad's like, oh, you were supposed to be here helping me, da da da. And
Mm-hmm.
Sinclair is the one that set all of this up. He delivered Angel
Mm-hmm. To the daddy.
to the dad. And the dad did not know, because if you guys know, if you watch Constantine, you should. If you haven't, it's amazing. It's the best. I love it. Anyway, you and any other possession movie or anything, cult movie, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you know that names hold power. Rumpelstiltskin, names hold power. So his
Yeah.
own dad does not know his name, but he tells them, oh, well, I tortured her for this many days and she screamed your name out on the third day or something like that.
Yeah.
She couldn't take it anymore. So now he knows his name and he's able to have power over him. And he's like,
Right.
damn, now that my dad knows my name, I can't really threaten him. I can't do anything. And he's like, don't worry, I'm going to be the one to kill you. His dad's like, nay, nay, here's what's going to happen. You're going to be punished. You're going to be in this. We're going to, you're going to live in this game Phantasma that I created. You're not
Mm-hmm.
going to remember anything. You have to find your heart and key. And he's like, wait, what? Like, okay.
Yeah.
Then his dad has them bring the girl out. and he rips her heart out. Then they take Blackwell away.
Literally.
They just take him away.
Yep.
And he has them put her heart in a locket, the same locket she's wearing around her neck present day. And he's like, I'll give you before he sent Blackwell away, before all this happened, he said, I'll give you a loophole. If you find your heart and key, you're free to go. And he was like, okay, I want to set it up that if I do all of that, nobody remembers my name. And the dad's like, deal.
Just like Spider-Man.
If you get out of this, I will forget your name. I don't know if you caught that, but I caught that.
Yeah, I did.
I was like, oh, he didn't say everybody.
Yep.
He said him. So, future book, maybe. I don't know. But anyways, so then they carry him away. And then he calls out one of his witches, I'm guessing is one of his people. And he's like, did you dispose of her body like I said? And they're like, yeah. They're like, what do you want us to do with this heart? And he's like, well, I want you to pick someone who has some type of connection to the paranormal enough to make them like, I don't want to mess with this but enough to understand the paranormal world.
Right.
And the lady's like, well, we currently have this necromancer locked up that tried to raise an army of undead. And he's like, perfect. And it was Hestia Grimm. And that's it. Then we go back to present day.
Yep. And they're talking basically, and she's trying to figure out a way to get out of giving the 10 years of her life and helping him still. Which I have to commend you, because she's just like, no, let's talk about this some more. Like, we need to figure out.
She's in love.
Yes. And she tries to say it, and every time he's like, no,
because he doesn't want her to get cursed.
Yeah.
He doesn't want her to get cursed, and she's like, no, I do not care.
Yeah. And finally she puts 2 and 2 together, and she was like, oh, it's the heart in my locket. When Cade snatched it off, my heart starts to slow down. She was like, it has to be this heart. She was like, every time you're around, it beats faster, it gets warm. And he was like, but if you give me the heart, because she takes it off and she gives it to him, and he was like, but if you give me the heart, you're gonna die. And she was like, I know, but I love you. And so he was like, she finally says, I love you, because she gives this whole little speech about why she loves him. And she was like, I basically became a better person because of you. I learned myself because of you. And then, okay, we're going to get to it. And then she's dying like the Wicked Witch of the West. She's on the floor melting and shit. I'm just saying, because she's on the floor. Dang. That's how I envisioned it in my head. And he was like, I can help you so that you can keep your life, but you would have to tether it to me because Phantasma is crumbling. And she was like, well, what do you mean? She was like, well, I can tether it to me so that I never have to go back to the underworld or whatever you want to call it, hell, whatever. But you would be attached to me for all of eternity. I would basically be drawing power for you and you from me. So it's hand in hand. So they get to live together forever. Yeah. And then there's the epilogue.
I want to just go back to that. I don't understand what he's like, you're going to have to spend forever with me. She's like, okay, and? He's like, right. All of eternity. And she's like, okay, and? But anyways, so the epilogue. 2 months later, debt is paid off. Oh! And Poe, rewind, Poe the cat
Yep.
was sent by the father to keep tabs on what's going on. Epilogue. And I say that because the epilogue, 2 months later, house is paid off. Everything's great. She's coming to the Grimm Manor and has a present for her sister,
Yep.
Genevieve. And everything's great. Blackwell's there. They Everything's beautiful, and Poe is there. Here's my thing. I want to say this.
Yeah.
Poe was not sent to Phantasma as punishment. He was
Yeah.
sent as a spy. So his job is not finito, in my eyes. Another book.
Right. You're
Anyways,
right.
he says, oh yeah, Poe stayed with me because he grew attached over all the years. No, bro. No.
He's still watching you.
You better. Anyway, so everything's great. They give Genevieve her present, and it's a trip.
To somewhere. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know yet. But if you look at the second book and what it's going to be about when it comes out, she goes to Italy to find information about her dad. So I'm thinking maybe that's the trip they're sending him on. I don't know, but everybody's in love. Everybody's happy. He's so happy to be with her and be able to spoil her and all of that stuff because he has all his powers back now that all of that, he found his heart and key.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And that is the end of Phantasma. Highly recommend. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
I gave it 4.75 stars.
I gave it 4.5.
Yep.
I gave it 4.5.
Yep.
I loved it. I thought it was good. It had a lot of quotable moments.
Yep.
I think her banter, the way she wrote the banter was fantastic. I think the overall plot was good. It was a little different. I feel like that was actually a little bit different story than what we normally would read.
And it felt good to have an intelligent main female character.
Yes.
That it wasn't like some wishy-washy.
And it wasn't insta-love. You got to see them develop that through the conversations and interactions. Like, I like that too.
Yep.
So, yeah. I enjoyed it. We would recommend it.
Yes.
So this concludes our reading vlog. This reading vlog is very long. You guys, it's fine. But thank you so much for watching, you guys. Please like, share, subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and also this is our last video of 2024.
Yes, thank you guys. All these videos we've done and you've been here for us. Thank you guys so much.
Yes. So we will see you next year, you guys. We have so much more coming up. So much. We just thank you guys so much. We really do appreciate you being here with us. We have so much more coming. We have so much more in store. So we'll see you next year. Bye.
Bye, guys.